the maternal father of the Pokémon world. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 26, Behind the Curtain of the World. The reason why Conan chose to reveal the truth to Eminem is because Eminem has already doubted his identity very much, and if he continues to pretend to be stupid, he may continue to expose him. Secondly, he has already tried Eminem, and it is indeed not like that organization people, 3 times, just to ask Eminem for help. Amu obviously didn't think that the current situation of Conan would be caused by some kind of medicine point purely from the perspective of understanding pharmacy. Eminem doesn't think there is such a function of medicine point, but since Conan had already begged so much, Eminem just helped him check it out. At the same time, he also took the opportunity to ask Conan what he found. The conclusion is that Zinai discovered illegal transactions in the amusement park before, but it's not some illegal drug, but something that looks like a shimmering stone that I don't know what it is. Just when he wanted to call the police, he was attacked from behind. And then he didn't know what was done. During the period when he was semi-conscious, he vaguely saw Junsha talking with people from those mysterious organizations. No, you don't have any traces of medicinal effects on your body, and there are no abnormal substances left in your gastric juice. It's better to think about Pokemon's abilities. Amu said with certainty. Impossible? Conan confirmed again and again, although I'm not a master of pharmacy, but even if I'm a master of pharmacy, it is impossible for me to completely avoid traces of my medicine. Eminem's tone was very firm, and then he added, if you are really worried, I can introduce you to my teacher. What Eminem was talking about was naturally Grandma Leixi. Her knowledge of pharmacy was indeed superior to Eminem. No, my identity can no longer be exposed. Conan immediately refused. Amu didn't insist either. After all, even if Conan agreed, he still had to think about whether it would be dangerous to Grandma Leixi and King Mui's sister. After being told by Conan, Amu felt a little nervous. What's more, Eminem doesn't think that Grandma Leixi will have a different conclusion from her in this regard. After all, in addition to his own expert knowledge of pharmacy, Eminem also has the professional strength of a pharmacist. How could it be possible that he can't even feel the existence of the pharmacy? Those people, could they be Team Rocket? Eminem hinted at Conan as much as possible. Impossible, Conan said firmly. Eminem was taken aback when he saw this. His resolute attitude didn't seem like he didn't think about the Rockets, but firmly believed that it wasn't the Rockets. I have dealt with the Rockets more than once. The Rockets are far from being so well organized and secretive, Conan said with certainty. It seems that the Rockets are looked down upon. After a moment of silence, Eminem asked, how do you feel about the security in Tokiwa City? Is there any Rocket team activity? Public security is very good. At least there are no blatant illegal activities, right? Conan said naturally. If he knew that Sakaji was the boss of the Rockets, he probably wouldn't think so. After sending Conan back, Amu thought about it and contacted Mr. Jumu. Yo, it can't be the first badge. Something went wrong. Hahaha. As soon as Dr. Jumu appeared, he laughed and teased Eminem. From the background, Eminem can also see that Mr. Jumu is already in the research institute, and he has also changed into a white coat, but he is still wearing the exaggerated pair of goggles. It's like this. Teacher Jumu, I have a friend, Eminem said very seriously. When Dr. Jumu heard what Eminem said, he immediately became very interested. No, he became serious. He was in Changpan City, and he happened to witness an illegal transaction by a mysterious organization, and then he attacked, and he even said, maybe Junsha, that kind of real Junsha, was involved. Because of this attack, he received some unspeakable influence. At the same time, I was also in Tokiwa City, and I found some clues about the Rockets. It seems that the owner of Sakaji may have something to do with the Rockets. What Eminem said was a bit conservative, as if he really found some clues. Sakaji, the Rockets. It's not relevant. Sakaji is the leader of the Rockets, but don't talk nonsense outside. Dr. Jumu said as a matter of course. You didn't understand this, but Jumu knew about it a long time ago. That means Sakaji attacked my friend? Eminem asked immediately. Wait, the friend you said, it's really my friend, not me. Eminem immediately denied. I mean, that friend of yours really saw Junsha? And is a mysterious organization trading? Jumu confirmed again to Eminem. Well, he's pretty reliable, right? Eminem didn't give Conan a guarantee either. Then it definitely wouldn't be done by the Rockets. Jumu didn't ask in detail what exactly was the unspeakable influence. After all, it was unspeakable. Seeing that Eminem still didn't believe it, Jumu hinted, the world is not flat and two-dimensional, and you may not understand some things now, but the champion of the next Quartz League should be the city. It is the form of double champions of Do and Kanto, and 9 times out of 10, Adu should be the champion in Chengdu. So, Amu hasn't realized yet, how did it involve Adu? So, Sakaji is also actively preparing to compete for the championship in the Kanto area. Jumu said this information, that is not top secret in the high level. Slim Shady? Seeing Eminem's shocked expression, Jumu said as a matter of course, the Rockets are not an illegal organization. What is illegal is some behavior, you understand. And Adu is a world-class special investigator. Although Adu compared with Sakaji, I also like Adu more, but I understand everything. Hahaha. Jumu obviously didn't want to talk about this topic anymore, and Eminem also reacted at this time. Indeed, in this world, the Rockets are not an illegal organization. Even in Rainbow City, there is a blatant headquarters building of the Rockets, instead of being hidden underground like in the game. This also makes many people think that the Rockets' lair is really in Rainbow City. Although folks mention the Rockets, they are generally disgusted with it, and it is true that members of the Rockets are often involved in cases, but theoretically the Rockets are cut every time. Not only the Rockets, but also such organizations in most areas. Theoretically, even if Sakaji discloses that he is the boss of the Rockets, the Quartz Alliance will not want him because of this, and the top management of the Quartz Alliance, many people actually know about it. If you think about it a little bit, Eminem can understand the reason. Eminem also thought about the situation in this world before. Since the unionization began 200 years ago, the kingdoms of the old era have withdrawn from the stage of history one after another. The kingdoms that still exist today are either in remote corners outside the alliance, or they actively accepted the alliance back then. Although the army was disbanded, gave up the country, but can still keep a city, a small kingdom, that exists under the jurisdiction of the alliance as a city-state. After the alliance, there will be no wars between countries, and the alliances will have no armies, but this will also cause many other problems. For example, in terms of public security, the major alliances are deeply cooperating with the Junsha clan. Although the Junsha department is under the major alliances, it is actually in the hands of the Junsha clan. Now that Eminem thinks about it, there is basically no shortage of organizations that use Pokémon to carry out violent activities within the alliances, which is probably also a manifestation of checking and balancing Junsha. This is not just a question of power squeeze, but a question of the boundaries of using Pokémon. If there is no seesaw, maybe the Junsha clan will decide tomorrow that only those who are approved by Junsha can become trainers. In essence, it is the Junsha clan that is hostile to these organizations, and although the larger alliance is inclined to the Junsha clan, it is not hoped that there will be no seesaw at all. The Dragon Messenger Adu, in addition to being the leading Dragon Master and the 4 Heavenly Kings, is also a world-class Pokémon investigator, and his wife is also from the Junsha clan. Therefore, if Adu wants to be the champion of the city, Sakaji is actively canvassing votes at this time, which can be regarded as the right time, place, and people. One of the reasons why Jumu doesn't think that Eminem's friend was secretly attacked by the Rockets is that, like Conan's judgment, the Rockets' actions are not so secretive, and it's even less likely that they will infiltrate Junsha. The second reason is that Sakamu, now that they want to compete for the championship in Kanto, the Rockets also want to clean up their whitewashing at this time, instead of doing anything. Chapter 27 The Giant Tree, 039's guess. As for your friend saying that he saw the Junsha clan participating, Jumu pondered for a while when he said this. Could it be possible that he can still be Dushan Wang? Armu couldn't believe it. Although he didn't know Dushan Wang, but from the various information he received during the 4 years of traveling, he felt that Dushan Wang was a sense of justice strong man. No, it shouldn't be, and it won't even have a direct relationship with the Junsha clan. Normally, there shouldn't be pure villains in Junsha who has the power of Junsha. Jumu shook his head again and again. Obviously he also trusted Adu and Junsha Point, but Eminem doesn't think this is a guarantee. After all, pure bad guys are of course very rare. It's the same as not saying it. If it comes to infiltrating the Junsha clan, I think it might have something to do with the Flame Team. Jumu mentioned the name of the organization in the Carlos area, Team Flare. Eminem asked with question marks all over his face. Flame Team Armu knows, but what does it have to do with the Kanto area? Well, the Flame Team is different from the Rocket Team. It is already a wanted secret organization, but not only is it secret, but also, they are full of spies everywhere, infiltrating various departments of the Carlos Alliance, including Junsha. There have been rumors before said, there may be their infiltration in other leagues as well. Jumu raises the target of his real suspicions at this point. Jumu paused, and then told Eminem, you and your friend don't need to worry about these things anymore. I will report it to the Alliance later. Jumu directly locked the suspect on Team Flame Point, and unlike Team Rocket, Team Flare is a real secret organization, the kind that even has undercover agents in the Alliance department. More importantly, the identities of Team Flare, from the leader to the senior officers, are unknown. Hearing what Jumu said, Amu suddenly had a feeling of, it has nothing to do with me. But about the Flame Team, you can tell Conan later. As for Dr. Jumu, he didn't ask about Eminem's friends. It may be that Eminem himself was attacked by default, but it seemed that nothing happened. Just to remind Eminem, he will be traveling later, and he can go to Eugian Mountain in mid-May to have a look, drive. Jumu didn't say anything about it, but Eminem could vaguely guess something. It is said that there are many skins in Eugian Mountain, and it is also rich in moonstones. In front of Mr. Jumu, Armu mentioned that he was good at fairy things, probably because he wanted to guide himself to subdue a Pippi. In the end, Jumu also inspected it again. After learning that Armu's homework during this period was still making up for the foundation, Jumu was not angry. Instead, he asked Armu more about the basics. Very satisfied. After finishing the contact with Mr. Jumu, taking advantage of the time for dinner, Eminem came to the cafeteria, just in time to meet Xiaoxia and Yuanzi, who had finished their meal. Why are you so inactive about eating today? Xiaoxia wondered why Armu didn't come. Teacher, Jumu taught me my homework. Amu concealed the main content of the call, but he didn't lie. But Conan on the side stared at him with dead fish eyes at this time, and then suddenly shouted, I can't hold it anymore. Brother Amu, can you accompany me to the bathroom? Slim Shady, can't you change the reason? Conan. Xiaolan was about to teach him that the good boy had to go to the toilet by himself, but Armu interrupted at this moment. Well, it's okay, I just want to go too. Then, just please, Xiaolan said shyly. On the other hand, Xiaoxia looked at Armu with a slightly weird look. Based on her understanding of Armu, he is the type who must go to the bathroom before going out. And Conan pulled Armu to the corner outside the bathroom, and after making sure that there was no one in front of him, he said nervously, did you tell your teacher about me? Conan obviously didn't figure it out. Eminem has two teachers. The one who mentioned to him earlier was Grandma Leixi, not Dr. Jumu. But he was right to be worried. Don't worry, I just said that a friend was attacked by a mysterious organization, and I didn't mention the matter of becoming smaller. Eminem said lightly. Conan said angrily, that's not okay. Do you understand what I mean? You know how dangerous this matter is, Mr. Jumu is the cousin of Dr. Damu, and the old man told me a possibility. Amu interrupted. Hearing what Eminem said, Conan immediately changed his face and said, what did you say, Mr. Jumu said that it may be related to the Flame Team. It is the secret organization of Carlos, and some people in the Alliance have suspected that the Flame Team has undercover agents in other regions, even in Junsha. Amu shared this important information tell Conan point of course. Unlike Team Rocket, Team Flame is also a mysterious organization in this world point. In fact, even if you tell Conan, it won't help him much after all. Whether it's called the Black Organization or the Flash Team, it's just a code name. As long as it's mysterious enough, just knowing a name won't help. Big Team Flare. Is it really them? Conan rubbed his dog's head point. It seemed that he had suspected Team Flare before. As far as mystery organizations were concerned, it was still quite famous. Eminem didn't pay too much attention. After all, it's not me who got smaller. As for the tug-of-war within the alliance, Eminem also understands in his heart that this is no longer dark. It is not without open and secret struggles in orphanages, let alone within alliances with tens of millions, or even hundreds of millions of people. In contrast, Eminem feels that the behind-the-scenes battles in the Pokémon world are relatively simple, otherwise he would not even understand himself. Point after all, it is difficult for a person who is too scheming to become a strong trainer. Even a bad guy must have his own persistence. If it is purely for profit, it is difficult to become strong. At best, it is the level of an illegal Pokémon hunter, like the Suzuki group. In the final analysis, the Suzuki family still retains their identity as rock and ground trainers for generations, and the rock and ground talents inherited from generation to generation are also part of their foundation point. If you completely abandon the cultivation of Pokémon and devote yourself wholeheartedly to the game of commercial means, no matter how big the group is, it will be difficult not to be replaced. Point as for Conan or Shinichi, all Eminem can do is stay away from them. After all, after Shinichi becomes Conan, his ability to disturb others will be greatly improved. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 28 Battle Club. After finally coming to the big city, Zyarksha and Eminem both plan to stay for a few more days. However, the purpose of the two is different. Zyarksha wants to take the opportunity to relax, and Amu is to fight against the club. The founders of the Battle Club are the Don George family. Point like the Junsha family and the Joai family, the East George family also has its own unique power, that is, the George power. And contrary to Junsha and Joai, the East George family who inherited the power of George are all men. The same looks are somewhat similar. The effect of George's power is to be able to see the training points of Pokémon and the training difficulties to be solved, and to be very sensitive to the moves and states of Pokémon. Point therefore, the East George family can be said to be the best Pokémon training coach, and the battle referee. If you want to say who is the most powerful family in the world, it is hard to say who is number one, but top two. It must be the Joai family and the Junsha family. Point. And if you want to talk about top 3, then you must have added the East George family, and whoever can say top 3 is probably a member of the East George family. After all, the gap between the third and the first and second is still quite large. As for top 5, there are at least a dozen of them who would call themselves like this. Unlike the Junsha family and the Joai family, although the East George family also cooperates with major leagues, it is not a necessity after all. The Battle Club is only in the Hezhang area where it originated, and it is everywhere. Even the level of the Battle Club can be used to sign up for the Hezhang League competition, and the effect is equivalent to the badge of the gymnasium. Point in other regions, because there is no privilege of fighting level equivalent to gym badges, basically only larger cities have fighting clubs. Of course there are in Viking City. Point this is the first time Eminem has come to the Battle Club. Although there is one in Light Red City, I saw it when I went to participate in the pharmacist assessment, but I just saw it and didn't go in. Point. Although it is only opened in big cities, the scale of the Battle Club is not small. Point after all, it is very attractive to be able to play against opponents of similar strength, even if there is no utilitarian purpose, and more importantly, to play against various training programs of the club. There is only a 2-story reception at the gate, and behind it, there are several high-rise buildings and outdoor venues with training rooms and battlefields maybe, because I saw Eminem looking around. A guide came up to him immediately. "Hello, Mr. Trainer, is this the first time you come to the club?" "Yes, I want to use the skill training room. Where can I pay the fee?" Eminem asked the guide lady. Because there is no in-depth cooperation with the Quartz Alliance, the Battle Club is obviously not like the Pokémon Center, where newcomers have the Alliance to pay for the first year, so they can only pay honestly by themselves. Hearing that it was the first time for Eminem to come here, the guide's eyes lit up immediately and she said, "Mr. Trainer, our Battle Club is a membership system. The membership service is common to all branches of the Alliance, and the battle level is also common within the same Alliance. Compared with the Pokémon Center, the Battle Club should be more gold absorbing silver. Card members can use all the training rooms in the Battle Club, sign up for battles, and also enjoy the self-service exchange room. After the battle level reaches LV8, you can get a silver card membership for free for 1 year. After reaching LV10, you will be free for life silver member. You can make up the difference to upgrade to a gold member. On this basis, a gold member can also enjoy all the skill teaching video libraries. In addition, if you become a diamond member, you can not only enjoy free 5-star accommodation in all battle clubs, but also have free special staff guide at." This time, Eminem interrupted the words of the guide lady. "I'm still a newcomer in the first year of travel, and the diamond level is fine. How about the silver and gold charges? After all, the Pokémon Center has free accommodation and a cafeteria, so there is no need to waste it. Silver members are 300,000 yuan a year, and gold members now have a discount, which is less than 3,000 yuan per day." The guide lady blinked. Good guy, quite skillful. The skill videos provided by gold members can also be purchased separately? Eminem asked directly, ignoring the less than 3,000 yuan per day. "Yes, but it is charged according to the number of times. If you buy all of them once, you will need tens of millions of expenses, and each purchase is only valid for 1 month. The skill videos bought are not burned into discs, but can be used in the training room of the Battle Club. It is really useless to simply watch the video images. The Battle Club here is a VR simulation. It's better to be a silver member. I don't have enough money to be a gold member, and I have no income, and I'm an orphan." Eminem sealed the words that the other party wanted to recommend a loan. By the way, talk about tens of millions of expenses, but no one needs to train all skills. Moreover, Eminem can directly dig out genetic skills. When training Pokémon to learn skills, most of the time it is to let the Pokémon you have already mastered to teach the Pokémon that can be learned. There should not be many times when video guidance is needed. It's a good deal to buy a loan. Although the guide lady was a little disappointed, she still served with a smile and guided Eminem to complete the registration of the silver member. After that, Eminem immediately made an appointment for the grass training room for an afternoon and declined the fee-based guidance. Entering the training room, Amu suddenly smelled the fragrance of soil, although there is no grass around. It is completely metal floor and metal plate walls, but it feels like entering a big forest. According to the operation guide, Eminem turned on the switch on the console, and a virtual image of lush vegetation appeared in the room, and the room, which was originally only about 50 square meters, seemed several times larger. Of course, the image did not. The important thing is to have fun. At this time, Amu released all the balls, the wonderful frog seeds, and the ancient mischievous mind bombs. I saw a look of comfort on their faces. Amu and Armen had a brief exchange, and then they understood that in this room, the power of grass seems to have been strengthened. Considering the theory speculated by Eminem before, that is, the energy in the earth is very full in this room, and the sunlight above the head is also very bright, as if the sun has been drawn closer. It is equivalent to a permanent green grass field plus sunny day. This doubled the energy of the grass system. Practicing grass type skills in this environment will naturally get twice the result with half the effort. Afterwards, Eminem placed an order for the energy ball tutorial on the console and chose to pay on time. Although there is an Auti Thunder Bomb guidance, but maybe after watching the teaching demonstration, there will be new inspiration. One afternoon, Maya Seed and Eggy practiced energy ball while Eminem Found time to read a book in the corner. Chapter 29 Kagoro. Egg, 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 garlic, garlic. I saw that Eggy had barely released a complete energy ball. Although it took a long time to prepare, it was indeed an energy ball. At this time, my frog seeds shot out of Egg energy ball. It's gone, but it's made significant progress. At the same time the bodies of Eggy and Frog Seed flickered at this moment, and their outlines began to swell and change obviously in a dazzling light. Eminem's attention was also completely attracted. After a while, the rays of light dissipated, and what appeared in it were coconut egg trees and frog grass, obviously, in the process of learning energy ball. Armin has absorbed the power of leaf stone, and Armin has also grown to level 16, and both trigger evolution at this time. Garlic, garlic, frog grass vented twice. Although energy ball has not been fully mastered, but the evolution has been completed, which makes the frog grass happy. And after Armin evolved into a coconut egg tree, the situation of schizophrenia improved a lot from 6 eggs to 3 heads at this time. Everyone was also smirking, and their 2 short legs hopped left and right, looking very happy. The naughty Leibo at the side just rolled his eyes and made a disdainful voice. Boom. It seemed that he disliked their progress after froggrass evolves. Its race value is 405, plus individual value plus 8%, growth value plus 8%, now level 16, and its theoretical combat power is 7000 plus. After the coconut egg tree evolves, it is even more terrible. It is already the final evolution form, and the race value is 530, which is already very high. In addition, it has just been upgraded to level 27, and there are also individual value plus 3%, growth value plus 13%, and now the combat power has exceeded 15,000, reaching the so-called competition level. The limit of the growth value is generally considered to be plus 50%. Usually the growth value is plus 50%, which is more difficult than reaching level 100. If the general trainer's ability is insufficient and the Pokemon's qualifications are insufficient, even if it takes time and decades of hard work to level 100, the growth value will be plus 30%. The ratio of level to growth value also determines or explains the efficiency of training to a certain extent. If it is kept at around 2:1, it means that the Pokemon's potential is still in the growth stage. If it is close to 3:1, it is a potential nearly exhausted, slow growth. If there is no 3:1, it will be difficult to upgrade. Seeing that they have completed the evolution, Amu is also very happy. Although the evolution level of the froggrass is theoretically 16, there are many examples of evolution failures and delays of several levels. After evolution, the volume of the 2 is much larger. The coconut egg tree is more than 2 meters from the foot to the highest leaf on the top of the head, and the frog grass is also 1 meter from the tip of the flower bone on the back. It is impossible to put it on the shoulder at this time. I saw froggrass rubbing against Amu with its smooth frog head, and the coconut egg tree was even smirking, lifting Amu up with superpowers, and placing it on its tree. The naughty Laydan on the side was full of disgust and rolled his eyes, but at this moment, a vine stretched out from under the sepals of the frog grass and lifted up the naughty Laydan. It seems that the naughty Laybo boss is unwilling, but he didn't say hello. After some celebrations, Eminem left the training room after the froggrass and coconut egg tree got acquainted with the evolutionary form. Exercise should also be relaxed and relaxed. When returning to the Pokemon Center, Amu just saw Zyuksha and Yuanzi together, and a middle-aged uncle with 2 mustaches. Uncle Kagoro, you really played very well today, and you even solved such a difficult case. Yuanzi complimented the middle-aged man a little unexpectedly, and then happened to see Eminem behind him. Slim Shady. Amu, here. You didn't come shopping together today. What a mistake. Do you know what we encountered? An explosion. Fortunately, Uncle Kagoro. Oh, by the way, I haven't introduced you yet. This is Zyulan's father, Uncle Kagoro. Yuanzi hurriedly beckoned Amu to come and see a detective. Slim Shady. Kagoro seemed a little guilty at first, but he quickly adjusted his mood, straightened his collar and said, ahem, that's right. If you encounter a case, just call me Kagoro. As for the young detective, Yes, it's not far behind at all. I can only handle some not so difficult cases. Hahaha, slim. Shady. Amu looked at Conan from the corner of his eye and found that he was also speechless, but Eminem is more speechless than him. Bombing? The law and order in Tokiwa City has always been good, right? Amu asked with a strange expression. Point after all, this is Sakage's nest. The rockets themselves will not eat, and other villains will be taken care of by the rockets. There will always be some lunatics, but as long as my detective Kagoro is around, these crimes will have no place to hide. Ha ha ha. Kagoro laughed boastfully. Xiaolan was on the side, a little embarrassed, trying to stop Dad's idiot behavior, as expected of Mr. Kagoro. Eminem admired sincerely. I really want to admire. After all, this is Tokiwa City, one of the 6 major cities in Kanto, and the nest of Sakage, which actually makes us have bombings. Mr. Kagoro's detective agency is in Tokiwa City? Amu thinks that, if this is the case, Sakage should consider moving. Zhao Wulang froze when he heard the words, and then coughed dryly. Ahem. No, in order to help more people and make more crimes have no place to hide, so I'm a mobile detective. In other words, he doesn't have an office yet. Following Kagoro's eyes, Eminem also saw an RV with Kagoro Detective Agency written on it. Okay, this kind of flowing event trigger is hard to hide, but it seems that Dr. Ali's anesthesia watch has also been strengthened. Otherwise, the poison resistance of human beings in this world is still quite high. Seeing this, Amu praised Kagoro for a few more words, and then he took out his business card and handed it over. Amu took it and saw that besides Kagoro's own head portrait, there were 3 Pokémon patterns beside it. Presumably they were the partners of this Pokémon detective. Thousand Faces, Windspeed Dog and Throwing Ghosts. Although Kagoro is not from the Junsha clan, as a former Junsha, it is normal to have a Windspeed Dog now. Throwing Ghosts are the most common in the Hezhang area, but as a relatively common fighting type Pokémon, they can be found in all regions and are good at throwing skills. A relatively rare one is the Thousand Mask Avoidance. This is one of the 3 royal families in the Galar region and the final evolution form of the water type royal 3 families. Perhaps Kagoro has also traveled and studied in the Galar region. Combined with Kagoro's character design, Eminem suspects that this one is likely to have the characteristics of a sniper. Xiaolan couldn't stand her father's behavior anymore, so she forcibly dragged Xiaolang away. Amu went to the restaurant with Xiaoxia and Yuanzi and curiously asked about the bombing case. Although the law and order in this world is good, it is definitely not as easy to kill as in Shin Conan, but Shinichi alone has not solved murder cases. This time there was also an accident. It is said that someone caught several Thunderbolt electric balls and quietly brought them onto the tram. Chapter 30 Coordinator. On April 4th, the 4th day, Eminem and Xiaoxia came to Viking City. Xiaoxia also went to challenge Viking Gym Point. Because it was just the first badge, there were no audience seats, no groups of relatives and friends were welcome, and it happened to be raining today, so Eminem and Sonoko waited for Xiaoxia to celebrate in the dessert shop opposite the Viking Gym Point. Xiaolan and Conan didn't come together at this time. It is said that Xiaolan's mother, who had been separated for a long time, came to Jianshan City on a business trip. She wanted to create opportunities for her parents. I don't know if it's because of the weather, but the garden looks very dull today, and it seems like a rented mouth is like a word meter. Seeing Yuanzi looking out of the window, biting the straw, Amu thought about it for a while, whether to take out the book to read while it was quiet point, but thinking about it carefully, it seems impolite, so Amu took the initiative to provoke the topic and said, "Yesterday, my frog seed has evolved into frog grass. How is yours, Sonoko?" "Then, you are amazing." Sonoko smiled slightly. "It's okay." Eminem quickly became humble. Yuanzi saw that he would not start the topic again, and Amu was afraid that he would embarrass himself to death here today, so he took the initiative to ask, "How did you and Xiaoxia know each other? You have a traveling companion so soon." It was a quiet night. At first, I thought I had encountered a sword monster with a strong shield. Yuanzi? After listening to Eminem's narration, Sonoko knew that there was such a complicated story behind it. It turns out that Xiaoxia is the daughter of the owner of Boilan Pavilion, but she likes water type Pokémon. Yuanzi's eyes suddenly lit up. Xiaoxia's background. There is nothing to keep secret. It was just not mentioned before. But now that Sonoko asked, when it came to the reason for forming a team, Eminem naturally brought it up. Then, what type of Pokémon should I like? Fairy type? Sonoko became a little excited. No, Xiaoxia really wants to be a trainer. Amu reminded. Xiaoxia really likes water type Pokémon and also wants to be a water type trainer, but Miss Yuanzi just thought it would be cool to be rebellious like this. As for fairy type Pokémon, it is likely that Sonoko thinks that fairy type Pokémon are more cute and beautiful, and the small diamond is also a rock plus fairy dual type. Did I say that I didn't want to? I even got the badge of Vicky Panjim. Yuanzi asked back confidently. Actually, if you care more about the charm of Pokémon, the coordinator is also a good choice, right? Amu helped Sonoko think about it. Coordinator. The full name is a coordination trainer, and it can be regarded as a kind of trainer. However, the main battlefield of the coordinator is not a battle of Pokémon, but a gorgeous contest of Pokémon. Generally, professional Pokémon coordinators also work part-time as actors and models. Coordinator? Yuanzi was taken aback when he heard the words, and then, his eyes gradually became blank, and his smile became abnormal. It may be. My heart has fast forwarded to winning the gorgeous contest champion, receiving the McCree Award, starring in a big movie, becoming a popular heroine, and crushing Kaluni and Zulan. That's all I said. Eminem felt a little regretful. Did she give her some unrealistic fantasy? No. You still have vision. Sonoko patted Eminem on the shoulder hard, and then stood up on his own. It's decided. I'm going to be a Pokémon coordinator, the champion of the gorgeous contest. Here I come. Regardless of the strange looks from many people in the dessert shop, Eminem hurriedly lowered his head so that no one could see him and pulled Yuanzi to sit down. It's not so easy to be a coordinator. Amu stopped in the middle of speaking because Yuanzi didn't listen at all. But thinking about it carefully, with Yuanzi's 3-minute heat, there is actually no need to worry about it. In order to speed up her cooling down, Eminem ordered another double scoop ice cream, and she probably forgot about it after eating it. Not to mention anyway, this is not a mistake, right? With the wealth of the Suzuki group, if Sonoko really wants to be a coordinator, he can just make a few moves for her for fun, right? At this moment, Yuanzi, who was distracted, suddenly showed some angry expression, and then showed a perverted smile. When Amu was puzzled, the ice cream arrived, and Yuanzi woke up in time and praised Amu. As expected of an expert pharmacist, his vision is different. Much better than that McCree. Mentioned. Sonoko was still a little angry when he arrived at McCree. Eminem was wondering, what's the matter with McCree? As for McCree, he is the godfather of fashion in this world and the leading coordinator. Moreover, he is still the champion of the Fingyuan area, and he is the veritable number one in terms of coordinators. Sonoko didn't answer anything, but Eminem immediately realized it in the original novel. McCree and Eigo are good friends, right? And now Dawn is Yuanzi's elder brother. That is to say, McCree must have seen Sonoko looking at Yuanzi's current reaction. It is obvious that McCree did not recognize Yuanzi's talent as a coordinator. Slim Shady. Yes. As a pharmacist, I know more about coordinators than McCree, right? Seeing Yuanzi's state, Amu didn't easily refute her, but took advantage of the opportunity to chat with her about the coordinator. The more Yuanzi talked, the more excited he was, and he simply dragged Eminem together, braved the rain to the bookstore next door, and came to the bookshelf where the magazines were placed. Quick, help me find out which style is more suitable for me. Yuanzi looked at each of the actresses who were youthful and beautiful, or noble and elegant, or heroic, and already felt that he could do it. At this time, hello. Sonoko glanced at Eminem, who was holding the cover of the swimsuit of the idol girl group. Are you looking for me? But, Amu said with a serious expression, look, it's written here that, in order to control their figure, they can't eat after 4 o'clock in the afternoon, desserts are also not allowed, and breakfast and lunch also have great requirements for food intake. After Amu found the interview he was looking for, he spread it out for Yuanzi to have a look. At the same time, Eminem also sighed in his heart. As expected of the Pokémon world, everyone is still very simple, and he didn't say that he has a physique That can't eat fat. I can actually control swimsuits now. Sonoko held her head high and felt a little guilty at the same time. It is indeed manageable now, but if she is required to maintain her figure like this, I'm afraid so. I think this kind of coordinator is also good, and you don't need to pay attention to maintaining your figure, Amu said and handed a book to Yuanzi. Sonoko hastily looked down. Pokémon. Comedian debut. Funny tips you have to know. Sonoko. Chapter 31 Broken. Thump, 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 thump. Look, I got the badge too. Zyraksha held up the evidence that she beat the child violently, looking very proud. Seeing Yuanzi's lack of interest, Zyraksha asked suspiciously, what did you guys do just now? Why aren't you in the dessert shop? It's nothing. I just experienced the debut and end of the superstar. Eminem has already helped Yuanzi reduce the heat by 90%. After Yuanzi gave him an annoyed look, he pulled Zyraksha and asked, Zyraksha, what do you think? How about I become a coordinator? Coordinator. Very good. Actually, I really like Miss Zulan too. Zyraksha and Yuanzi immediately entered the girls' topic mode. Let's go to the Dadao Temple shopping mall to have lunch first. Seeing the light rain, Amu didn't have to go back to the Pokémon Center to grab a meal. After all, I have to go to replenish supplies today. If the weather is fine tomorrow, I will leave Viridian City, continue to set off North Point. DOC Shopping Mall is a relatively large chain department store. Not only daily department stores, but also everything from Pokeballs to various outdoor travel supplies, and even convenience foods can be bought in DOC Shopping Mall. In terms of supplies, except for potions and battle props, basically everything can be replenished in one stop at the Dao Temple. Where are you going next? Sonoko asked curiously. Go in the direction of Jianshan City first, and probably deviate from the main road halfway, and go to the Bailu Lake. Zyraksha discussed the approximate route with Amu last night. Amu only has 3 Pokémon now, and Zyraksha only has 5 Pokémon. The two are planning to look for it again. Stay away from the main road, so that you can easily encounter Pokémon, especially rare Pokémon, which can't be seen near the main road. So you have to go in the wild. Bailu Lake is in the northeast of Changpan City, not close to the main road. It has to pass through a forest, so it is already in the Changpan forest, but after reaching the lake, there is also a camping area that exists all year round, which is not too secluded. This is a more suitable choice for Eminem and Zyraksha, after balancing catching Pokémon and safety in the wild. After going deep into the forest, there will be no shortage of grass type, poison type, and ground type Pokémon. And in Bailu Lake, there are naturally water type Pokémon inhabiting Jianshan City. Zylan and I will go to Jianshan City next month. Contact us then. Yuanzi said immediately. Slim Shady, now tell Jansha of Jianshan City to prepare. Is there still time? Unfortunately, Eminem really couldn't find a reason. Jianshan City is a city located in the north of Bailu Lake, roughly in the middle of Zigguandu. The city size is definitely not as large as the 6 major cities, but it can be regarded as a second-tier city. It is characterized by small area and high population density. It is located in a mountainous area surrounded by mountains, so the city is not suitable for expansion in terms of area, but high-rise buildings are getting taller and taller, and buildings with more than 100 floors are row upon row. At the same time, because of the urban layout, there are various high and low roads, which belong to the city with its own characteristics and sense of space. However, if you go to Jianshan City, will Amu's grass element be restrained by the gym's flying element? Sonoko looked at Amu wonderingly. The official gymnasium of Jianshan City is of the flying department. Grass type skills are not effective against flying type Pokémon, and flying type skills have extra damage bonus to grass type Pokémon. It's just the second badge, so there's no need to pick attributes. Eminem immediately explained. Those who didn't know thought that he came to Viking City just to restrain attributes, and Eminem wasn't a grass type trainer in the first place, but it just so happens that the Pokémon he's training now are all grass type. Zyraksha said naturally. Yuanzi looked over in surprise when she heard the words. Originally, because of her status as a pharmacist, she never suspected that Eminem was not a grass type trainer. No, that's not the point. Even if it's only grass, Eminem had to explain that he didn't challenge the ground type gym just to beat up the kids. It was just a coincidence. Then, what attribute are you good at? Sonoko asked curiously. Fairy type, ghost type, evil type. In fact, it is also good for grass type, ground type, and poison type. Amu played the advance amount point. In fact, for Eminem now, grass, ground, and poison are the same as other types, and there is no special tendency, but in the future, there will definitely be. Fairy. Sonoko was surprised, and then stared at Eminem with jealousy. As for the ghost system, although it is also the so-called upper force system, Yuanzi automatically ruled it out. After all, in Yuanzi's view, the ghost system trainers are all gloomy guys. Some even hold umbrellas during the day and light wax at night. It's nothing enviable. Suddenly Sonoko showed some doubts again. But speaking of the fairy type, you don't seem to have any. Sonoko stared at Eminem while talking. My appearance is not low, right? And there is room for improvement. Eminem said forcefully. Indeed, the average fairy type trainer has more outstanding looks, but Eminem can only be said to be not inferior. However, as the professional level increases, every time you choose the moon path, Eminem's appearance will also improve. By the way, you still have the attribute tendency of the ghost department. After that, you can show that little ghost head. Yuanzi said suddenly. Huh. You also suspect that he is possessed by the god of death. What is the possession of death? I mean, we were in an old house before, and he picked up an old watch with a dream monster in it, and he has been following him since then. Although it doesn't look malicious, it is a ghost treasure after all. Kemming. Sonoko's tone was a little worried. Dream demon watch. Amu understands a little bit how Conan controlled hypnosis Kagoro. At the same time that Amu agreed to come down, the three of them came to a restaurant downstairs in Dadao Temple shopping mall. Facing the menu handed over by the waiter, Yuanzi decisively pointed at Amu and said, "This handsome guy of the fairy type will pay the bill. Let him order." Eminem on the opposite side rolled his eyes when he heard this, but he still said, "If I buy it, I will buy it. It's just a family restaurant anyway." Of course, if he said that he wanted to treat himself, Eminem might choose to go to the cafeteria in the Pokémon Center. The three of them had lunch, spent another afternoon, and returned to the Pokémon Center after completing their supplies at the Dadao Temple Mall point. And at this moment, I saw Xiaolan getting out of the taxi angrily, while Conan was laughing on the sidelines. Huh? Xiaolan? Why did you come back so early? Uncle Xiaolang, why did you ask you to take a taxi by yourself? Seeing this, Yuanzi asked in confusion. Don't mention that, old man. Xiaolan was obviously full of resentment. Looking at her like this, you can tell that the plan to reunite after a broken mirror is not going well. Yuanzi followed, and after asking a few questions in a low voice, he suddenly asked loudly in surprise, "What? You also encountered a robbery, Slim? Shady, it's getting worse. It's getting worse. The law and order in Tokiwa City has deteriorated visibly with the naked eye." Chapter 32 CONAN-039 S equipment. Hearing that there was a robbery, Amu glanced at the culprit Conan. "Have you already solved the case?" But Conan was startled when he heard it and immediately looked left and right. After confirming that no one else had discovered it, he said angrily, "Uncle Kagoro solved the case. By the way, I heard that you met a dream monster? And you can't be subdued, right?" Amu asked. Although Eminem intuitively thinks there is nothing wrong with it, from a metaphysical point of view, it is not surprising that the death physique has the talent of the ghost department, and Rotom also has the attributes of the ghost department when he is not possessed by electrical appliances. But after entering the garden, it is better to confirm. "Yeah, what's the matter?" Conan said naturally. At this moment, the dream monster who usually stays in the watch worn by Conan and never comes out, suddenly appeared amidst a burst of light and strange laughter. Mangayao, a ghost type Pokémon registered in Chengdu in the illustrated book, is 70 centimeters tall, rather small, and its body is greener than it looks in the illustrated book. Part of it is red, like a will-o'-the-wisp, with red eyes and bright red beads around its neck. Ah. Conan was also taken aback He didn't expect Meng Yao to come out point in front of the Pokémon Center. The endless stream of passers-by also paid attention to it at this time. Ghost type Pokémon are still very rare. Most of the people did have curious eyes, but there were also a small number who seemed a little scared, especially passers-by with children. Many of them hurried away. If it is in the wild, I'm afraid that there will be more people who show fear. Ghost type Pokémon will make people more sensitive because of various legends and even its own nature. If it was a wild ghost type Pokémon, few people would dare to approach it, but now everyone thought that this ghost type Pokémon was released by the trainer, so it was mainly out of curiosity. Why did you come out? Conan wanted to go up to pull the dream demon, but it was empty. Ghost type Pokémon, but ignore physical collisions, that is, immune to normal type damage. Generally speaking, in the attribute restraint of moves, pure physical impact will not be ignored, so the attribute of resistance to general has a great advantage and defense. And the ghost system is even more special. They completely ignore physical collisions. That is, they can ignore the pure physical impact of moves. The immunity of ghosts to general and fighting types is the real immunity. Otherwise, the ground type is immune to the electric type, but it cannot be immune to the physical impact of moves such as electric ball and crazy volt. The moves can still cause physical damage to it. However, while the ghost system is immune to physical impact, it cannot cause physical impact. If you see the ghost system taking something, it must be teleportation. Seeing the situation here, Xiaolan and Yuanzi looked over in surprise and were even a little worried that the little dream monster would make trouble. But at this moment, I saw Eminem bend down a little and put his hand on the head of Meng Yao. People who didn't know it thought that the dream demon was Emu's Pokémon, and now it was released for the little boy to see. But Xiaoxia and others who knew it couldn't help sweating. Light and weird laughter came in bursts, and the surroundings seemed to be windy. There are many ghost type Pokémon that feed on fear, including the dream monster to it. It might just be a prank to replenish energy, by the way, but for the person who was pranked, it might be mentally weak for a few days. Be careful. Xiaoxia was anxiously trying to get closer, but her legs were weak. Fortunately, at this time, Xiaoxia and the others discovered that, although Meng Yao still smiled strangely, but was closing her eyes, rubbing her head on Emu's palm with her head that should not be touched. Although I heard before that Eminem has the talent of the ghost department, but now Xiaoxia and Yuanzi are completely convinced of this Eminem's sense of touch at this time is also very vague and slight, but there is indeed a little bit. After all, he chose the moon path twice, so Eminem himself has some ghost, fairy, and evil attributes at the same time. Eminem has also understood Dream Demon's thoughts. It is confirmed that it is really good for Conan. As long as the bond is high enough, there will be no hindrance. As for Eminem, although there is also a high degree of goodwill at first sight, it is obviously not to the extent that Meng Yao wants to follow Eminem instead. And Eminem did not force it. He just took Conan to a corner where no one was around and then let Meng Yao return to the watch. This was the watch left by Meng Yao's previous owner, and it was also the place where Meng Yao boarded. It is not uncommon for this ghost type Pokémon to reside in an item. Seeing Snocko and the others rushing over, Amu comforted. It's okay. That dream monster thought Conan was very similar to its original owner, so it followed Conan. Well, its original owner was a 16-year-old detective fan. Conan, on the side, heard it and gave Eminem a hard look. Fortunately, Xiaolan didn't get this hint. That's good. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mew. You have the talent of the ghost department. Xiaolan quickly thanked. You're welcome. By the way, this kid can also live in the Pokémon Center? Mew was a little puzzled, and Xiaolan also wanted to go to the Pokémon Center. Well, yesterday Conan's mother specially issued a diamond card for me, so I can bring one more person. Xiaolan was a little embarrassed as she said that she didn't want to charge so much money. After hearing this, Eminem knew it. It seemed that she had met Conan's parents. Scradina, the parents were real parents, and she would still know them if they showed their true faces, but they must have changed their faces at the time. That's why I have to bring this retarded brat with me. But of course Xiaolan is sleeping with me. Brat, are you disappointed? Yuanzi asked teasingly, after pretending to be disgusted. Hehe, I don't know what you're talking about. Conan said with a dry smile. Yuanzi. Xiaolan was afraid that she would teach the children badly. It's okay, at least it's convenient to do laundry. Eminem was still thinking about Conan's cleaning of Rotom. Conan said innocently. No, that Rotom has already been returned to brother Shinichi. Now my skateboard, Rotom, was specially developed by the doctor for me. Judging by his expression, Eminem suspects that it is still the same one, but the attached electrical appliance has been changed. Skateboarding Rotom is indeed very rare. Maybe this is the only skateboarding Rotom. Maybe Rotom is a special Pokémon that can be possessed by many electrical appliances, but it can adapt to its state. Human beings have only produced 5 types of Pokémon that can display their fighting power. As for this skateboard, it was custom made by Dr. Ellie for Conan, and it is in a state that is not in the illustrated book. Chapter 33. Spring is here, and ITN-039 is here again. Union, the 8th of April. 200. Amu and Xiaoxia have been away from Viking City for 4 days, and they ate the 12th light meal of this round in the evening. Because the chosen route was far away from the main road, there was no village or supply point encountered during the period. I really want to have Rotom too. By the way, don't you have the talent of the ghost department? Can you work harder? Xiaoxia complained from the side. Obviously what Xiaoxia wants is to heat up Rotom. That is, Rotom in the form of a rice cooker. In this way, you can cook intelligently and don't have to embarrass yourself like this anymore. I said that I should bring some bentos and sandwiches on the first day so that I can eat one day less. You just said that you miss fast food, and Rotom is not my problem. Amu rolled his eyes aside. In this world, due to the demand for supply, the development of instant food is actually very rapid. If you only eat it once in a while, it really tastes good. As for Rotom, because of its special life form, there are almost no wild ones. Persist a little longer. After about 10 more meals, you will be able to go to the lakeside camp at Bailu Lake. Amu encouraged. But Xiaoxia obviously did not feel encouraged. Lakeside camp is a well-established name, but it is actually a place where traveling trainers set up camp by the Bailu Lake point. Because there are more people coming and going, a small Pokémon center has also been opened. It does not provide accommodation, but it can treat Pokémon. In addition, there are also some small shops and small restaurants that are simply built for everyone to replenish and relax. But at this time, it would take at least 3 days to walk to Bailu Lake. During this period, Eminem had to think about the Pokémon he wanted to tame. Instead of rushing. At this moment, there was a sound of fighting and screaming from the forest nearby, and Amu and Xiaoxia immediately recognized the situation. Nidorino. Again. It really is spring. Eminem looked in the direction where the voice came from while stirring the pot. This is not the first time. There are Nido clan breeding nearby, and the Nido clan is quite special. It can be regarded as a Pokémon that has evolved very well in reproduction. The reproduction of Pokémon in this world is a very complicated science. The Pokémon that have been found to have reproductive behaviors are known to be oviparous. But the eggs are very different. The eggs of some ghost-type Pokémon look like a cloud of grey mist, while the eggs of the ore-type Pokémon are as hard as ore. At the same time, the mating of Pokémon is also different from that of humans. Their reproductive isolation is calculated according to the egg group. And the mating methods. Some are similar to human beings, but most of them are different. Some can mate successfully as long as they hold hands and circle around, and some seem to be some strange rituals. As for the division of egg groups, it is basically the same as the game settings before Eminem's crossing. The difference is that here, some genderless Pokémon also have egg groups and can reproduce asexually. Don't bother. Ditto. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many diversified monsters in the wild. In the Nido family, males and females have been completely separated in terms of Pokémon types. The female is Nidoran Nidona Queen Nido, while the male is Nidorang Nidorino King Nido. It is also worth noting that among the female Nido clan, only Nidolan in its original form has the ability to reproduce. After evolution, it will instead lose the ability to reproduce, because the potential is used for strength, while ensuring the quality of reproduction. This also led to an imbalance in the number of fertile males and females. In addition, most of the males of the Nido clan are struggling When spring comes, they will fight endlessly for the right to mate. In the game, struggle heart is manifested as an increase in damage to the same sex and a decrease in damage to the opposite sex, and it is similar in the Pokémon world, and it will also make Pokémon with this characteristic become extraordinarily special during the estrus period aggressive point along the way. Eminem has rescued the injured Nidorino several times. Nidoran in the original form rarely participates in this kind of competition, and the number of Nidokings in the final form is very small. The most common, it was Nidorino who was injured in the fight. Would you like to go and have a look? Zyarksha said, looking at Emu who was stirring the pot. Well, although it is generally not the case that you will die, but at this time, Nidorino is still prone to accidents. Amu said, turning off the electric hot pot and covering it. Don't let me die is also a matter of probability, because Pokémon has a mechanism of fainting after losing a battle, and unlike ordinary animals, it is not easy to recover after being injured. Therefore, in this competition for mating rights, the mortality rate is higher than the average animal is much lower, but it is not zero after all. Point as one of the most restless Pokémon in spring, Nidorino dies a batch of wild ones every year. As a pharmacist, Eminem is never short of wound medicine. If he sees it, he will treat the failed Nidorino after the battle. Point of course, it must be after the battle, otherwise it will be a side effect, which is not helpful, and they must be made to fight more fiercely. Mew and Zyarksha followed the voice, but found an unexpected scene. I saw 3 Nidorinos, and they were besieging a blue figure at this moment. Judging by the size and shape, it should be Nidorina. What's going on? Hey, why are you bullying girls? Zyarksha shouted dissatisfied. Point. If it's a normal mating rights fight, they'll just go with the flow, but Nidorino would not do anything to a female Pokémon, especially a female Pokémon from the Nido clan. Point. Hearing Zyarksha's voice, although I couldn't understand her words, I could still feel her emotions. I saw the 3 Nidorinos turned around, and the Nidorina in front of them had already been beaten to the ground, but they hadn't fainting. Nido, Nidododo. The 3 Nidorinos were cursing. Point. Amu was also a little curious about this situation, so he released the coconut egg tree and the frog grass. Get rid of them, Eminem simply ordered. Coconut eggs. I saw that the coconut egg tree used telekinetic power to make the 3 Nidorinos float slightly, and their bodies were not as flexible as usual. The 3 Nidorinos were also at the level of 17 or 18, and they were also wild Nidorinos nearby. Common grades of dulliness. Then Froggrass stretched out 2 vines, twitched wildly, and drove the 3 Nidorinos away. At this time, Coconut Egg Tree has reached level 29, and has fully mastered Energy Ball, and Froggrass has also reached level 20, so it can be regarded as having mastered Energy Ball after evolution. Froggrass has a few more levels of EZ Ball's upgrade. Space. Point. Seeing that Nidorino was running away, Eminem didn't chase him either, but at this moment, just hearing the sound of Nidona who had just fallen, stood up at this moment, looking at the Froggrass with admiration and longing. Garlic? Froggrass glanced at Nidona uncomfortably, with a look of disdain, and at this moment, Eminem suddenly discovered something. This one doesn't seem to be Amu. Noticed that this Nidorina actually has horns, and looking carefully, the shape of the ears and the proportions of the limbs are not Nidorina, but a different colored Nidorino. Chapter 34. Forced. Nido, looking at the blue Nidorino, who kept surrounding the frogweed, shouting alive and kicking. It was only then that Eminem understood. It turned out that it wasn't a rare case of Nidorino bullying a female, but a different colored Nidorino. Different colors, also known as flashes, refer to a rare phenomenon in which the body color of Pokémon is significantly different from that of ordinary individuals. Heterochromia itself is not hereditary, but appears with a very small probability in normal individual breeding. Point. As for Nidorino, once a different color appears, it will change from dark pink to dark blue, which looks very similar to Nidorina at first glance. Froggrass looked at this Nidorino jumping up and down at this time, and slapped it away with a rattan whip in disgust, with a look of disdain. Point. Zyarksha also said with some embarrassment, so it's shining Nidorino? I thought it was Nidorina. If I had known it was natural competition for mating rights, Zyarksha and Emu would not have intervened, but The color is very strange, and it doesn't look very strong. No wonder it was besieged before. Zyloksha looked at this Nidorino with some sympathy. The heterogeneous in the group are always easy to be excluded, especially when spring comes. Nidorino will be very violent towards the same sex. My lion is not interested in you. Come on, let me take a look at your injuries first. After looking at Nidorino, Amu's eyes suddenly lit up, and then he approached in search. Nidorino obviously didn't have a good temper with Eminem, and he gritted his teeth. But at this time, Froggrass flicked the cane whip twice, and Nidorino immediately calmed down and made a flattering expression. That's right, our lion is a female, and Froggrass is a monster egg group plus plant egg group. Nidorino is a monster egg group plus land egg group. Both have monster egg group within the scope of mating. Amu put his hand on Nidorino's head. Regardless of its horn passing through his fingers, Nidorino first stared at Eminem with dissatisfied eyes from an angle that Froggrass couldn't see. Then his expression froze, showing hesitation, and finally calmed down. It was Eminem who used the ability of animal perception to communicate with Nidorino. Like various other communication abilities, this is a communication that transcends the language level, allowing Pokémon to accurately understand what Eminem means at the same time. The more Pokémon opens up to Eminem, the more accurate and clear information it will send to Eminem when there is no defense. Eminem can completely synchronize the thoughts of the two, and then achieve ghost upper body degree. The current Nidorino is naturally on guard against Eminem, but it still made Eminem know the basic situation of it. It is true that this Nidorino has been in a bad situation since Nidoran's time. Not only is it of a different color, but it is also very thin, and even the characteristic is still a rare vitality. Unlike other Nidorans who are struggling, vitality is Nidoro's hidden characteristic in the game. In the Pokemon world, individuals with hidden characteristics are generally rare. It is equivalent to a thin, not gregarious bitch. It's fine in normal times, but when spring comes, other Nidorinos are more excited, and it becomes the object of bullying. Not to mention that, if it is mistaken for Nidoran, they have finished fighting there, and if they come over and see that it is a horned one, then they will be even more angry. If they want to know it, in terms of individual value alone, this Nidorino is actually not low, about +6%, which is considered very high among wild Pokémon. The reason why it looks thin is because it belongs to the type with low physical attack and high special attack. The vitality characteristic is not bad. The effect is to reduce the hit rate and increase the attack power, but this Nidorino's physical attack is really not good. This vitality has little benefit and great sacrifice. Moreover, vitality also has a mocking effect, which increases the probability of encountering monsters in the game. That is, the performance is more disgusting. How about walking with me? In the wild, you can only be the weakest of Nidorino, Amu said to Nidorino. Although it is spoken, it mainly depends on the transmission of animal perception. Nidorino immediately looked at Eminem with questioning eyes. It is true that he is weak now, but will he become stronger if he walks away with you? When Zyloksha heard it, she was surprised and said, "Huh, are you sure you want to tame this Nidorino? It seems not all Pokémon can understand human language, especially wild Pokémon, but they can feel human emotions." Hearing this, Nidorino immediately glared at Zyloksha. "I always feel looked down upon." Zyloksha doesn't know much about the poison type Nidorino, but she can tell from the appearance that this Nidorino's physical attack is definitely not very good. Physical attack should be the most important ability of Nidorino, or Nidoking. Among the Nidorinos that Eminem had treated before, there were stronger and more potential ones than it, and one of them was even singled out by several Nidorinos before losing. But Eminem didn't seem interested at all at the time. Is it just because of the flash? Zyloksha looked at Amu strangely, and she didn't know when he would control her face. And the different color doesn't mean it looks better, it just is more attractive. Of course, eye contact is the most important thing in conquering Pokémon. If you really hit it off, you don't have to worry too much about other things. But now, Zyloksha can clearly see that Nidorino doesn't have a lot of hits on Eminem either. Look, it's true that the physical attack is low because it belongs to the special attack type, and the characteristic is vitality. Eminem explained. Vitality? I remember. After evolving to Nidoking, Nidorino's vitality characteristic will become forcing right. But even so, the Nidoking who is good at special attacks is too much, right? Xyloxia obviously still felt that it was too reluctant. Nidorino's eyes were clearly dissatisfied point. But what Xyloxia said is indeed reasonable for the final evolution of King Nido. The race value is 505, which is not too high, but it is not low. And with a body that is good at fighting at first glance, it is still the best among trainers. Some popular but with a race value of 505. 102 is in physical attack, and the special attack is only 85. It's not that the special attack of 85 is very low, it's just that, if the special attack is used, and the physical attack of 102 is wasted, the effective race value of Nidoking is only in the early 400s, but Eminem obviously doesn't care about this. The characteristic is forced, and the individual correction is still the type of low physical attack, high special attack. This kind of Nidoking is not easy to find. The effect of forcing is that when using a move with additional effects, the additional effect will be invalid in exchange for a 30% increase in power. That is, moves that have a probability of adding paralysis, burns, freezing, all kinds of effects, become no special effects, but more powerful. The Nidoking with the forced characteristic needs to use special attacks to be brilliant. It can learn a lot of practical special attack skills, and it covers many departments. Amu emphasized at this time, Nidorino. Although Nidorino didn't understand, he felt that Eminem was talking to him, and immediately said it's useless to say point. Indeed, Nidoking can learn a lot of powerful special attack skills, and basically have additional effects, which can also be combined with the powerful blessing of force. In the game, the Nidokings who have the opportunity to play in PvP are basically the special attack style Nidokings with the forced characteristic. I know that King Nido can theoretically learn a lot of special attack skills, but if you don't consider additional learning, there is only one, Power of the Earth, that is a special attack skill, right? Xyloxia reminded from the side point. That's right, in this real world, cultivating Pokémon is not just a click of a button, so it becomes more difficult to cultivate the special attack Nidoking if it grows normally, except for one, Power of the Earth. The Nidoking will not awaken any special attack skills, or have to make up lessons by themselves, but Eminem clearly has the confidence, originally. Nidorino didn't want to agree immediately, but at least wanted to think deeply, but because he realized Xyloxia's reason for persuasion, he was immediately provoked. Nidorino pushed Eminem with a high-pitched fighting spirit, using something other than the unicorn, signaling that he wanted to become stronger. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 35 NIDORINO-039 S Learning Plan. Amid Xyloxia's confusion, Eminem subdued the vitality characteristic Nidorino, which has low physical attack and high special attack point, and Nidorino was also wondering if he had been tricked. After dinner, Eminem also specially took out his training diary and made study plans for Nidorino while comparing the illustrations. If King Nido uses special attack and gives up physical attack, the effective race value is indeed a bit low. Correspondingly, however, King Nido can theoretically learn a wealth of skills at this time. In the diary, Amu first wrote down this department, Power of the Earth, Sludge Wave, and then wrote non-original department, Jet Flame, Frozen Beam, Shadow Ball, 100,000 volts, Point Nido. King can learn these 6 high damage skills with special attack directions and full hits, and these have additional effects with probability point among them, except Sludge Wave, which has a power of 95, and Shadow Ball, which has a power of 80. The other powers are all 90. In other words, under the characteristic of Forcing. It is equivalent to a skill with a full hit and a power of about 120. The hit or failure of this world depends not only on the skill hit, but also on the performance of Pokémon. But it must be these full hit skills, which are theoretically easier to target point. After hesitating for a while, Eminem wrote down the 7th one, Zenki. Bomb. Zenki Bullet is a special attack skill of the fighting system. Nidoking can also learn it, but it is more difficult to hit. But with the blessing of forcing, the power can reach more than 150. Zylaksha looked aside and said coldly, even if these skills can trigger the effect of forcing, don't forget King Nido's special attack is only 85. No, it's not just a matter of forcing. This is equivalent to the regular strongest special attack skills of the 7 series, and Nidoking can learn it. That is to say, ground type, poison type, fire type, electricity type, ice type, ghost type, and fighting type. If these 7 types are counted, Eminem simply made a table and performed the calculation of attribute restraint. If only a single attribute is considered, there are 17 attributes that can be restrained. Except for the fighting system, all of them can be restrained. Even considering that only 4 skills can be used, not all 7 of them can be used. If it is in a game, if there is an opponent, the information can be used to target skills. And even if you bring 4 at random, there are as many as 12 or 3 lines of restraint. Amu said the theoretically calculated results, that is to say, the special attack, forcing, Nidoking, most of the time, he has a full hit skill with a power of about 120 that restrains the opponent, and can be used. Once the restraint is formed, the power is equivalent to nearly doubling, and the special attack of 85 points is also the same. Enough, Eminem said after counting all the way, but this is only considering a single element. What if the opponent is not restrained? Zylaksha has already heard what Eminem wants to express, but because of her status as a strong opponent, she still has to fight. It's not that she really wants Armu to give up on Nidorino. After all, she has already subdued it. If Armu gives up now, Zylaksha will look down on him. She just wants to show off. After all, the two are still competing. It doesn't matter. The most important thing is that no matter how bad your luck is, you won't be able to counteract all your skills. Even if you calculate it this way, considering the special attack, Nidoking's effective race value is only in the early 400s, which is not very strong. But definitely a strong attacker with stable output. Eminem's expectation for this Nidorino, or the future King Nido, lies here. In the team of professional trainers, there will usually be this kind of Pokémon. Its ability is not extreme, and it is not too strong, but it does not have to worry about being targeted. As long as the opponent is not as good as itself, it can parry any tricks. No, it is easy to be stealed, and belongs to the type of ballast stone. Before it got dark, Eminem had already arranged a new training plan. Frogras continues to be familiar with Energy Ball, at least to be able to master it proficiently. As long as the skill is awakened, it can be released, but there is still a difference between familiarity and inexperience. Proficiency is only the first step. Others such as Electric Flash can be used to avoid damage, and there are more advanced skills, and Coconut Egg Tree began to practice the primordial power that was excavated by Eminem from her genetic skills. Nidorino began to learn 100,000 volts from Naughty Leighton. King Nido can learn 7 series of powerful special attack skills. But Nidorino before evolution can only learn Power of the Earth, Frozen Beam, and 100,000 volts, among them, the first 2 of which are Amu. There are no Pokemon clubs here. There is only one, 100,000 volts, to learn the primitive power of the rock type. 100,000 volts of the electric type are all skills that restrain the flying type. You say you don't care, but you are really serious enough. Zylaksha expressed her amazement at this. Flying department? Ah. If I don't say anything, I forgot, and I will challenge the flying gymnasium in Giantian City. Hahaha, isn't it a coincidence? Armu smiled very honestly. That being the case, Eminem felt that it was a good thing for him to be able to let the students of the small gymnasium understand that Pokemon's own attributes are restrained. Does not mean that the ability to counter restraint cannot be developed. At This moment, naughty Laydan invited Nidorino to eat a 100,000 volts. Why? Are you so careless? Seeing this, Armu hurried over to apply the wound medicine to Nidorino. Both Nidoran and Nidorino are pure poisonous types. Only when they evolve to Queen Nido will they have the dual attributes of ground type plus poisonous type. Pure electric attacks are ineffective against it. Although it wasn't as painful as in the game, it recovered very quickly. Boom. Don't be so anxious. Let Nido experience it for yourself. Eminem said mischievously. Boo. Boom. Naughty Laydan pouted. Obviously not accidentally. This guy just became a Nido and he wanted to learn Energy Ball from Froggrass. He looked down on naughty Laydan, but he annoyed naughty Laybo. No, you can't learn Energy Ball. Hurry up and start with 100,000 volts. Learn all the 7 skills I told you, and you will be the most beautiful Nidoking. Eminem immediately educated Nidorino earnestly. Nido, Nidodo, Amu. Could understand what Nidorino meant, nodded and said, don't worry, as long as you learn the skills well, there will always be Moonstone Nidorinos. Evolution into Nidoking does not just need to grow to a level, but requires a Moonstone. But when Nidorino wanted to learn, naughty Layton didn't want to teach, so he turned his head aside. This time, Eminem ignored their affairs and asked Nidorino to apologize to naughty Layton. Naughty Thunderball was annoyed by Nidorino, and after asking it to eat another 100,000 volts, he finally started teaching skills. Dang. I recommend a new Pokémon book, Elf Simulation from Little Fire Monkey, which belongs to the Pokémon Fusion City type, not the original Pokémon world, and uses the simulator as a golden finger seedling. Chapter 36 Acquaintance. Union, the 11th of April 200. After climbing over a small hill, Armu and Zyarksha looked towards the rising sun from the top of the hill and finally saw the vast Belu Lake. In order to arrive early, the two rushed all night last night. On the hill, that was only 3 or 4 stories higher than the surrounding area, the eastern edge of the lake could not be seen at all, but the narrower north and south banks could be seen. At the same time, on the south bank not far away, there is an area densely populated with tents, and there is clearly a house with the Pokeball logo in the middle. Obviously that is the camping area by the lake. It's finally here. I want to have a good meal first, then take a bath, and then have a good sleep, Zyarksha said with some excitement in her exhaustion. You can only camp and live in tents here, Eminem reminded. At least there is water. Zyarksha was not greedy. In fact, you can take a bath in the wild. After all, there is a portable bathtub, but it is really uncomfortable to wash, and you can only wash in a place near a water source. Although there are water type Pokémon, but, as we all know, the water sprayed by water type Pokémon does not disappear quickly like the rocks condensed by rock type moves, but it also evaporates much faster than normal water. It can be used temporarily to extinguish fire and cool down, but it is not realistic to expect water type Pokémon to generate water out of thin air. The two walked the last part of the journey and came to the camping area. There were already dozens of tents here. Everyone tacitly spaced out and kept a certain distance, but they were all concentrated in this area. In this way, human trainers can rest well and disturb wild Pokémon less. What is he considered a rookie trainer like that? Okay, I'm 18 years old this year, and I'm still in the 3rd grade of the advanced Pokémon school, so how can I not be considered a rookie? It's really enough to bully people. Pick up. Heard a somewhat familiar voice. I saw 3 young trainers talking about something with an expression of disbelief. At this time, Zyarksha followed the sound and looked over, and after recognizing one of them, she immediately pointed and shouted, "Ah, it's you." The red hat who was pointed at also turned his head to look at this time, but only noticed Eminem. You come too, but Zyarksha immediately blocked him and said, "Bicycle thief. I finally found you, eh?" Zyarksha was taken aback when he heard the words, and then stared at Zyarksha. Then he suddenly realized, bowed and apologized. "I'm sorry, because I was attacked later and broke the bicycle you lent me. Afterwards, I waited for you in Tokiwa City for a while, but..." Zyarksha showed a little embarrassment when she heard the words. Originally, she wanted to go to Tokiwa City, but Zyraksha immediately adjusted her mood and said relentlessly, "First of all, I didn't lend you the bicycle. You snatched it away as soon as we met. It was because Pikachu was injured." Zyraksha defended in a low voice point at this time. Pikachu also followed Zyraksha's shoulders and came to the top of his head with a look of "Please Pika Pika." Seeing this, Zyraksha had no choice but to put out her anger first, but she still muttered, "HMPH. I have to pay for the bicycle too." "Zyraksha, do you have a good relationship with Pikachu?" Amu looked at Pishin above him in amazement. The situation of one person and one skin can be described in a song. That is, I didn't like you when we met for the first time, but I didn't expect the relationship to be so close later. And Zyraksha can also be called the most vengeful man. It is obvious that Pikachu has a bad relationship with him. This kind of detective, every year, theater version, has to repeat his own experience. Pikachu obviously still has an impression of Eminem. It seems that Pikachu has become a lot more docile as a whole, and even Eminem, who has a good impression at first sight, is also a little more docile. Well, we are already the best partners. By the way, I haven't introduced you yet. This is Zyao Gang, and this one is Zyao, the companions I met during the journey. Zyao was very excited, introduced enthusiastically. Amu was taken aback when he heard this. Amu looked suspiciously at the hedgehog head in front of him and squinted his eyes. This one is obviously Zyao Gang, while the one next to him has a very fashionable hairstyle, but he is obviously withdrawn and not good at communicating with others. The boy who avoided Emu's eyes should be a dog. Ahem. Zyao. What combination is this? A mix of old and new. And the Zyao you mentioned, is that Zyao? Amu also wanted to know why Zyao didn't form a team with Zyraksha, even though Zyraksha's previous character design was more inclined to the old version. Is that? I heard Zyao mention you. I'm Zyao Gang, and my goal is to become a Pokémon breeder. Zyao Gang said and stretched out his hand. After Amu greeted Zyao Gang, he saw that Zyao was still a little awkward, so he didn't say hello specifically, but introduced. This is Zyao. You have met before, but you probably don't know the name. Zyao Gang is very considerate, and Zyraksha's age is not in his sickness range, so she took the opportunity to talk love to Zyao. After the misunderstanding was cleared up, Zyraksha didn't hold on. By the way, what rookie trainer are you talking about before? Is it this year's rookie? Amu asked suddenly. Zyraksha was also a little curious. If she was a famous rookie trainer, she might be her opponent in 5 months. Do you know Badgia? He is also in Balo Lake now. Zyraksha said relatively calmly. Badgia? Amu and Zyraksha were still dumbfounded. Seeing this, Zyraksha immediately brightened his eyes and said, "You haven't read the news recently, have you? A very powerful newcomer trainer came out recently, and he got 8 badges in 1 month." Halfway through Zyraksha's speech, Zyao curled his lips and muttered, "How dare you say that others don't watch the news? You obviously only heard me mention it half an hour ago." Zyraksha seemed to block his voice and continued, "He is a 3rd-year student of the Didn Advanced Department. They started reforming this semester, traveling and going to school at the same time. We know about Didn's reform. What happened to the 3rd grader?" Amu interrupted slightly. Emu heard about Didan's affairs from Yuanzi. As soon as this matter was brought up, Zyao, who was shy at first, said indignantly, "That guy said he was a newcomer, but he grew up in a family of Ibrahimovic experts, and he had several Ibrahimovic since he was a child. Growing up together, there are a lot of 50-level Ibrahimovic when I go out. Now I have started to evolve those Ibrahimovic, and I have won 8 badges in a month. When the rookie contest, I'm afraid that there will be all 60, 70 level Ibrahimovic cloth team." Saying that, Zyao looked at Zyao again. Just now someone didn't hear anything about Badger at all and thought he was also a newcomer, but after the competition, he was tortured. Puff. Well, it seems that there is no need to explain who this someone is. Zyao was not as upset as Zyao about this matter, but he said with high spirits, "It is true that I lost this time, but in the league competition, I will work hard to defeat him." Dong dong. Recommend a new Pokémon book. I'm not a poison trainer. Traditional elven script started in the Kanto area. At the same time as Zyozzy, the mysterious fifth person in Zenxin Town. The original sprite is also a Bulbasaur. There is no system, and the cultivation of elves depends on hard work, imagination, and chance. Chapter 37 Newcomer Trainer. It's no wonder that Zyozzy, who doesn't know whether a dog is a dog, is so dissatisfied with Badger. As soon as I went out, there were 6 unevolved Eevee at level 50, and they seemed to be highly trained. In the game, this belongs to modifier players, even in the real world, although it must be considered, it is indeed trained by others by themselves. This can be proved from the Pokémon subjugation record, and if it can really grow to level 60 or 70 after half a year, it means that the opponent is indeed capable. But Zyozzy was still unconvinced. I'm afraid that there are many people who are not convinced. After all, most of the newcomers have a 0 starting point, or have an initial Pokémon of level 10 or 20, and then lead to Usangia. The latter is basically the top match for ordinary people. There is usually only one Pokémon that grows up together, even Yuanzi. After all, without the aid of the illustrated book, he can only carry one Pokéball. At this time, there are many Ibrahimovic trainers who are only level 50 when they go out. It is really hard to convince them to count as newcomers with them. And the other part is growth curve and purpose are also very clear. I grew up with many Ibrahimovic since I was a child, and before Ibrahimovic reached level 50, I couldn't hold back the evolution. This way the level growth is faster, and after the evolution, the strength will increase instantly. I didn't even let Ibrahimovic evolve specifically. After I was already level 50, Badgie was 18 years old, and I registered as a trainer. I was worried that the evolved Ibrahimovic would be too strong, so I wouldn't be subdued by that guy, right? How continued to speculate maliciously. That's not the case. I think Badger and his Ibrahimovic have a very good relationship. Zyozzy instead said something fair for his opponent who had brutally abused him not long ago. In terms of growth level, no matter how poor the trainer is, level 15 to 20 is not difficult. After all, most wild Pokémon are in this level range. But lack of ability, purely relying on time-consuming training. The general growth limit is level 50, the peak of the general wild Pokémon, which is level 50, unless it is a leader Pokémon with special meaning, or other special circumstances, it will not grow. There are wild Pokémon that break through level 50. Of course, divine beasts are not in the category of ordinary wild Pokémon. Judging from the situation of the few trainers who had divine beasts following them, divine beasts are all level 100, and their race value is above 1200. As for the rookie competition, if the whole team reaches level 50, there is hope of winning the championship. After all, they have only been trainers for a year in theory. Badger's method of reaching level 50, subduing, evolving, and then using the momentum of evolution to increase the level is undoubtedly a bit tricky, and many people have the same idea as Zyozzy. What? Ibrahimovic at level 50? He definitely can't be explained by growing up together. Zyozzy immediately judged angrily. Yes, that's what I said. Zyozzy said and looked at the sneering Zyozzy demonstratively. But Zyozzy is different from Zyozzy. She said this not because of malicious guessing, but because she has a basis. Generally speaking, before becoming a trainer, even if you grow up with Pokémon, it is not considered training. Just like those bug catching boys. As the second generation of the gym, Zyozzy dares to conclude that he must be power leveling by his family members. Zyozzy also expressed her guess at this time. However, if his family is training, they won't listen to his command. No, it should be said that they can't participate in the rookie competition at all, right? Zyozzy retorted purely from the perspective of rules under normal circumstances. Power leveling will definitely not work. If you don't subdue Pokémon, training will not only get twice the result with half the effort, but Pokémon will easily abandon people. And if you accept the training and hand it over to someone else, will it not obey the command, or even leave, because the bond is too low? Not to mention, and the Pokémon transferred according to the rules is not considered a local capture. No, that's just in general. If the whole family are Ibrahimovic trainers, it's a different situation. His Ibrahimovic, and the Ibrahimovic of his family, are also a big family. do some shallow training, and you don't have to worry about Pokemon's rebellious psychology. You don't even need a trainer to train specially. The little Eevee who grew up with all kinds of adult and high level Eevee will naturally grow up high. As the second generation of the museum, Zyaoksha knows this routine very well. He also showed some surprise when he heard the words. Before, he thought that compared with Badger, he was really so much worse. However, Badger and his Ibrahimovic do have a deep bond, and I believe he is also an excellent trainer. He still said, "You bastard." Zyaoheo was angry for Zyaohe in the final analysis. From the point of view of the rules, there is really no problem. Eminem's attitude was similar to that of Zyaogang. I don't defend Badger's tricky behavior, and I don't have much complaints. I just analyze it from the perspective of established facts. Ibrahimovic must have been officially accepted after Badger's official trip this year, rather than being transferred by others. As for what form it evolves into, it is not a foul. The requirement is that there must be no less than 5 Pokémon in the area, not the Pokémon in the picture book of the area point, and if he can really rise to level 60 or 70 before the competition, it also shows that he is definitely not mediocre, but taking advantage is really taking advantage. After Ibrahimovic evolves, the race value is 525. Think about the fact that the whole team is in the 60s and 70s. Eminem is also not sure. According to Eminem's own estimation, it is not too late for him to reach level 50. For the whole team. After all, Badger's Ibrahimovic has been growing for more than 10 years, and Eminem has only been a trainer for half a year. When he arrived in the competition, Zyaoheo had an expression of "Why don't you condemn the injustice with me?" And Zyaohe interrupted, "That's right. You, do you want to fight again? I have also subdued the wonderful frog seed." Well, it seems that Zyaohe didn't form a team with Zyaoksha. After changing to Zyaoheo, his emotional intelligence has also been strengthened. This is probably the difference between being a younger brother and an older brother. It's really gratifying. Okay. Amu agreed without much hesitation. As Zyaohe said, he took out a special game ball, then looked at Eminem, and smiled triumphantly as if saying, "I also know the game ball." Seeing this, several people nearby also gave way to the venue. Seeing this, Eminem also took out a private game ball that he bought earlier. It looked about the same size as an ordinary Pokeball when it was unfolded, but the structure was completely different. Press the button, the game ball opens, and inside is a panel with 7 grooves up and down. The size of the groove is just enough to put the shrinking Pokeball inside. The position of 3 grooves is exactly for singles, and the position of 4 grooves is exactly for doubles. Let's only play singles. Zyaohe didn't intend to play a formal match. "Well, I don't have enough 6 Pokémon," Eminem said, and began to fill the Pokeballs. Pikachu. Zyaohe glanced at Pikachu at this time, and saw that, although Pikachu was a little reluctant, he still entered the Pokeball with high spirits. Sure enough, in this world, Bishan couldn't cheat so openly. If he played directly from the field, it would be equivalent to preparing for a skill, and obviously the rules would not allow this. Chapter 38. Zyaohe vs. Eminem. 3-on-3. Normal singles rules. Props are prohibited. The battle begins. Zyaogang was playing the referee at the side at this time. Accompanied by "The battle begins." Eminem and Zyaohe released their first Pokémon at the same time. Pickup, garlic. This is a meeting of enemies and they are extremely jealous. The two parties sent Pikachu and Froggrass, who had a decisive battle at Dr. Roke's place a month ago, but the latter was still Frogseed at that time. Frogweed. For Pikachu, the attribute is a little bit unfavorable. Zyaogang muttered under the field. But this is disadvantageous. Of course Zyaohe won't take it to heart. Pikachu. Use electric flash. Pickup. At this time, Zyaohe and Pikachu have cooperated tacitly. I saw that with the general energy filling his whole body, Pikachu's movements were more than a step faster. A flash of lightning is a typical preemptive skill. This world is not turn-based, and preemptive skills do not have a priority increase, but can be advanced in advance when the energy gauge is not full, but after it is full, you still have to pay for a skill preparation. Note 1, but this wave of Pikachu is playing a head start tactic. Lion, hold on. Armu still told our lion to respond to all changes with the same point. After all, in this world, a flash of lightning is not a matter of one attack, but a state of acceleration, and it is difficult to hit Pikachu rashly at this time point. I saw Pikachu circling around Froggrass again, and then ran into it when Frogweed was too busy to see it. Pikachu is really fast. Pikachu's speed racial value is 90. Which is not a low number, and this is only the speed of its preparation skills. The real moving speed is even faster, purely in terms of explosive speed and agility, than it's the evolved Raichu with a speed of 110 is even faster. Froggrass was bumped into the side by Pikachu, who was wrapped around his whole body with normal energy, and suddenly turned his body, this time because of his size advantage. He was not knocked around, but, however, Froggrass discovered that the yellow-skinned mouse hadn't evolved, but it seemed that it had grown more than itself. Fortunately, the effect of a flash of lightning has also disappeared. Ah, Swan. Bind it. Eminem commanded. What is tie it up? Tie it up is not a skill, it's just that Armu asked our lion to find a way to use Rattan to restrict Pikachu's dodge. Pikachu in normal state is also much faster than Froggrass, but what is compared with it now is not Frogweed, but the vines of Frogweed. This is specially trained by Froggrass. In the Beyond Skills battle, whether it is the Froggrass or the Frog Flower, it is better to count on these two vines than to count on the mouth and limbs without fangs and claws. So Amu usually arranges for our lion. His routine combat practice is mainly to control these two vines. Pikachu is indeed very flexible, and even jumped on the vine protruding from the frog grass, but finally fell into the entanglement of the frog grass. But this is not a skill like tightening, it's just equivalent to grabbing the opponent, using two vines to fight against the strength of Pikachu's whole body. Obviously it will be easy to break free, but Eminem just needs an opportunity. When he saw that the other party was about to make a profit, Armu decisively commanded, "Swan, use hypnosis powder." I saw the flower buds on the back of Frogweed slightly open, and then a burst of pollen rushed out right at Pikachu. Oops. Seeing this, Zyozzy felt anxious. Although he shouted, "Get out of the way," it was still too late. Pikachu struggled for a while, then quickly lost his strength and fell asleep. Hypnosis powder, as a very quality skill, the hit rate is only 75, which is a skill that is not easy to control the hit rate. Especially, although Armu likes to use this quality skill, he did not let our lion or our men pay too much attention to this aspect exercise, just plain mastery. Usually put hypnosis powder on the position of the dominant gene, and use up the opportunity to use skills, so that your own pollen can become pollen with hypnotic effect. As for how to pounce the pollen on the target, it is a question of one's own skills. If it is a battle in full swing, it is easy to be dodged, so Eminem had to restrict Pikachu's activities before the frog grass. That's it. Put it down slowly, Eminem directed. In fact, Froggrass is already familiar with this routine without the command of Eminem. In this real world, the sleep state not only increases the probability of waking up as time goes by, but also increases the probability of waking up if attacked. So, it is best not to attack normally at this time. Silently waiting for skills. Give it a big wave. Sleep when you receive an attack skill hard. There is a high probability that you will wake up, but if you are attacked while asleep, you have no resistance at all, and there is a high probability that you will be hit to the point. It is said that Froggrass skill preparation speed is a bit slower than that of Pikachu, but Pikachu is asleep here, without hostile checks and balances, the moment when the two sides are ready. For the second skill is almost the same. Pikachu. Stand up, Pikachu. Zyozzy. I kept calling Pikachu, hoping to make it wake up faster. Seeing that Froggrass is ready, Armu immediately commanded, "Our lion, use sludge attack." At the same time, seeing that Pikachu still couldn't wake up for a while, and the flower bone on the back of Frogweed was already trembling slightly, Zyozzy had to replace Pikachu. "I'll leave it to you, brilliant frog seed. Pay attention to defense, use the game ball to take back the Pokémon, and at the same time, and at the same place, another one will be released, so you don't have to worry about being able to hide skills like this." But for Zyozzy, if he went up to receive the attack soberly, he could at least resist it on his own point. As soon as Zyos's frog seed appeared, he was hit by the purple venom sprayed from the back of frog grass. Note 1: this article assumes that the pre-made skills in the game are skills that can advance energy slots in advance. In the game, the first system is a negative number, which is the so-called late release skill. After the energy tank is normally consumed, the skill can only be released when the energy tank is full next time. Regardless of whether it is preemptive or late, the energy bar is only consumed once, and the energy bar that is full again will not be consumed when the post-action skill takes effect. Point specific first system plus how much? No distinction is made. Simply compare who reacts faster and moves faster. Sunbeam. This type of skill needs to be prepared for a round, and it can only be released after the second energy gauge is stored, and it will consume the energy gauge that is fully charged for the second time. Point ultimate shock. This type of skill in the game will cause a round of stiffness, but after using the skill, it will cause the next energy storage speed to be halved. Chapter 39. You are unscientific. Zyos sent out frog seeds and ate frog grass. Sludge attack. Because it was stuck at the moment when it just entered the field, the frog seed naturally had no time to dodge, but at least it was better than hitting a sleeping target. Tane. Tower. The Myo frog seed shouted fiercely. Eminem just eaten some off-site information just now. The 4 skills displayed by Froggrass at this time are the 2 special attack skills of Energy Ball and Sludge Attack, and the 2 quality skills of Hypnosis Powder and Parasite Seed. Normally, when facing Pikachu who fell asleep just now, Eminem would probably let Froggrass use Parasite Seed. In all likelihood, parasitic seeds. In this world, special seeds formed from grass type power are implanted into the enemy's body, and every time the opponent uses a skill, they will absorb vitality. This is not a direct attack skill, and the probability of awakening Pikachu is very low. If Zyos doesn't change people, and parasitic seed doesn't wake up Pikachu, if you're lucky, you can prepare skills and earn blood again. Not bad. But Zyos said before that he also subdued a wonderful frog seed, so Eminem naturally has to guard against it. Hypnosis Powder and Parasitic Seed are ineffective against grass type Pokémon. In addition, the frog seed has the attribute of grass plus poison, which has double resistance to grass type skills, so Eminem did not let the frog grass use Energy Ball, but use the Sludge Attack with a power of only 65. Sure enough, Zyos was replaced by Myo Frog Seed. Amu secretly thought that if he had just used Parasitic Seed, now the Frog Seed would be directly immune. Although it is not a disadvantage, it will also be pulled back. Now, as soon as the Frog Seed showed its face, it was hit by a Sludge Attack from the frog grass. It was originally not as powerful as the frog grass, but now it became even weaker. Not good. Frog Seed. How could it be the opponent of frog grass? Zyozhi. Zio suddenly became anxious. No, Zyozhi is not someone who cares about such things. Zio Gang said from the side. I saw Zyos shouting, Frog Seed, come on. Let them see. You are amazing. Obviously, he didn't think that frog grass is stronger than frog seed. Neri. The Myo frog seed looked up to the sky and howled. Eminem was vaguely aware of it, and it seemed that it was more than just encouragement. Just now, the brilliant frog seed seemed really stronger. It is said that the power of Viridian can temporarily upgrade Pokémon during battle. Could it be that Zyos also has the power of Viridian? Or some other special ability with a similar function? Crack, clap, clap. I saw the frog seeds and frog grass stretching out their canes on the field, fighting each other, as if the sound of whips passing through the air, or the sound of whipping each other sounded. At first, Froggrass thought that the game was stable. Their opponent was a frog seed, and his level seemed to be lower than his own. How could he still lose? But after really crossing the vines, Froggrass found that the opponent's strength was stronger than he imagined. Of course, there are also reasons for physical attack and special attack. Now that Froggrass is unable to impart grass type energy to the Rattan outside of its skills, it is fighting entirely by strength, so it will naturally suffer a bit. It's just the power of this wonderful frog seed. How can it be so strong? Fortunately, after more than a dozen vine crossings, Froggrass still had the upper hand and gradually suppressed the opponent's range of vine swings, and at this moment, the skills of Bulgari and Bulbasaur were prepared almost at the same time. The flower bud/sepals of the two trembled slightly at the same time because they are the same kind of Pokémon, and both sides understand that the other party has prepared the skills. Wonderful. Frog Seed, use, Flying Leaf Knife. Zyos, he shouted energetically. Point at this moment, the frog seed gathered the two vines and then flung them vigorously. A dense flying knife formed by the energy of the grass system attacked the frog grass in bursts. This time Zyaheo and Zyadagang on the side were all surprised. Froggrass is naturally double resistant to grass type skills. According to the algorithm in the game, the damage is only a quarter. Seeing this, Amu secretly said good opportunity and erected directly. Ars1, block it. It said it was blocking it, but Froggrass did not learn to hold. It just used a more durable posture to withstand the damage, because Flying Leaf Quick Knife is a dense attack, and Eminem has no hope, and his dodge ability is mediocre. Frogweed can dodge. As for the counter attack, it is indeed possible to attack, even using the poison type, sludge attack, and the grass type, Flying Leaf Quick Knife, to attack. There will be some advantages, and it is likely to push back Butte in this way. The attacks are bound to cancel out most of each other, and Froggrass is double resistant to Flying Leaf Quick Knife. Eminem thinks the most cost-effective way is to force the opponent's attack, and then use sludge attack to fight back. Froggrass also understood Emu's meaning, and immediately defended confidently. But, what? Eminem immediately realized something was wrong. After a series of hit sounds and the smoke and dust aroused fell, only the Froggrass was obviously injured, and even looked a bit reluctant. Slim Shady? Why can the grass type, Flying Leaf Knife, cause so much damage to Froggrass? Although Zyos suspected that he had raised the level of the frog seed on the spot, but the fighting power of the two should also be more superior to the Froggrass, and he was injured by a grass type skill with double resistance. Amu didn't have time to think about it, and immediately took advantage of the skill ready state of Froggrass, and took it back. Come back first, Lun. I'll leave it to you. Amen. At the same time as the Froggrass disappeared into the constricting beam, the coconut egg tree appeared on the field. Yadandan. The three faces of the coconut egg tree all showed bright smiles. Great job. Frog Seed drove his Froggrass back. Zyos, he encouraged the Frog Seed. Eminem also thinks that the Flying Leaf Knife damage just now is very unscientific. However, although the frog seed on the field is encouraged, Amu instinctively feels that its momentum seems to have declined instead, and Amu also has some guesses about this. Coconut egg tree, wait for skills. Eminem ordered. I saw the coconut egg tree with three smirking faces and began to hop left and right to avoid it. Although the frog seed took the initiative to attack, the two vines were often stopped by the coconut egg tree with telekinetic power, and even sometimes his body would be occasionally lifted and tripped by the coconut egg tree with telekinetic power. It seems that the coconut egg tree has been hiding, but instead, the frog seed has become ashamed. Coconut tree's body is actually not good at fighting. After all, he doesn't even have hands. But coconut tree, which is close to level 30, can already use telekinesis in addition to skills. The combat effectiveness of the coconut egg tree is close to 18,000, which is significantly higher than that of the frog seed. Shang has completed the skill preparation one step ahead of the frog seed. Eminem is also directly stuck at this time, taking advantage of the fact that the frog seed cannot exit. Coconut egg tree, use, spirit shock. Oops. Zyadagang already realized that something was wrong outside the court. I saw the three faces of the coconut egg tree smirking at the same time, and then from the top of it, three dark pink spiritual light beams rushed towards the wonderful frog seed, knocking down the wonderful frog seed in an instant. Chapter 40. Is it a coincidence? Spiritual Shock is a special attack skill among the special attack skills of the superpower system. It is a special attack skill and is affected by the user's special attack ability. However, the attack is completely substantive, so the damage caused must be resisted with physical defense, and the Myo Frog Seed is not only restrained by the super energy system, but also a type with high special defense and low physical defense. The Myo Frog Seed, which had already exhausted its stamina, was directly sent into the soul. The Frog Seed has lost its fighting power. Xiaozi, please send the next Pokémon. Xiaogang announced after confirming that the Frog Seed fainted. Xiaozi also quickly took back the Brilliant Frog Seed, the fainted Pokémon, which can also be taken back directly, without the need for skills, to be ready. This wave of Frog Seeds is not bad. In the case of unfavorable start, it has greatly consumed the physical state of Froggrass, and forced Froggrass to retreat. It can be said that the contribution has been great. At the same time go. Butterfly. Xiaozi didn't send Pikachu in the sleep state to gamble, but sent Butterfly. Great. Xiaozi really brought Baydady. Now that coconut tree is not good. Xiaoheo said enthusiastically. Butterfly Bay is a dual system of worm plus flight, and the insect system. It not only restrains the grass type, but also restrains the superpower type. The coconut egg tree is equivalent to being double restrained. The power of the insect type is biased towards bite and scare. The bite side not only has the nature of weak point attack, but also can control the grass type at a glance, while the nature of scare has the effect on the superpower type. Outstanding. Eminem feels that the internal logic is that the psychic system is very neurotic, and neurotic people cannot be frightened. Similarly, the evil system also restrains the psychic system. Aren't you overjoyed too soon? What kind of insect type skills does his butterfly know? Xiaoxia obviously couldn't understand the complacency of Xiaozi's companion. After all, Armu was her rival. How could she lose to that red hat? Xiaoheo moved his lips, but he couldn't say anything. The attack skills of the insect type. It seems that there is only one. Insect bite. The same situation as when Eminem encountered a group of bug-catching boys before. Although Baydady has the attributes of insects, he lacks effective attack skills. If he does not make up lessons, he will only have a physical attack, insect bite, and since Armu saw Baydady, his expression was a little weird. This is not because he was targeting Xiaozi. Isn't it a coincidence? I saw the non-skill battle between Baydady and Coconut Egg Tree, which can be said to be half a catty. Not only does the butterfly have no fangs, sharp claws, and a strong body, but it also doesn't have the strong wings of a bird Pokémon that can be used to attack. Its butterfly wings are not meaningful for attacking. Coconut Egg Tree now needs to use telekinesis to attack, but it is still a bit weak. It is better at using telekinetics to interfere with the opponent's attack. It is not feasible to attack directly with telekinetics. The only chance to cause damage, it is to use telekinetic power to trip, or other ways to disrupt the balance of his movements, to make the opponent sprain himself. Of course, in comparison, Coconut Egg Tree has a promising future as long as it continues to grow. Sooner or later Coconut Egg Tree will be able to master telekinetics in addition to skills, and Baydady is basically the life of the assistant. In fact, the Coconut Egg Tree is stronger now, and it has the power to interfere. It is difficult for ordinary competition level Pokémon to attack it effectively outside of its skills, but the Coconut Egg Tree is strong in interference, and Baydady basically no distractions, nothing aggressive at all. After some weak chickens pecking each other back and forth, the first round of skills of both sides is ready to complete. The speed and race value of Baydady is higher, and even Eminem suspects that Xiaozi, Baydady, is probably still good at speed, but in terms of fighting power, Coconut Egg Tree has a great advantage, and the speed of the two sides is almost the same. Baydady, use, Xiaozi was still calm, not greedy for a single insect bite. One thing to say, it is better than the bug catcher. I saw Baydady flailing its wings vigorously, and the energy of flight was wrapped in compressed air, and the slash formed, cut towards the Coconut Egg Tree. Amen. Look for the opportunity. Eminem's order was very strange. It's not dodging, it's not defending, it's not attacking, but seeing the opportunity. However, Coconut Tree understood what Eminem meant, and the three silly smiling faces became a little more serious. They didn't bet on whether they could dodge once, but tried their best to resist with telekinetic power around them, and took the blow hard. It is naturally impossible to use telekinetic power to counteract Bayday's skills. The air slash still fell on our men, and at this moment, spotted the moment when Bayday set off, air slash, with his wings. He was tired, and could not fly very flexibly. Give it a shot. It doesn't take Eminem to say it. Coconut Egg Tree also knows what to give this one shot. Point in front of the three silly faces of the Coconut Egg Tree. A group of dark grey energy gathered, and then instantly bombarded Bayday. Bayday, get out of the way. Zyos, he exclaimed. Point, it's a pity that Bayday had just flapped his wings at this time, air slash, and it was a time when he lost his strength, so he couldn't dodge it at all. Point, a head-on hit. Bayday felt more seriously injured than he imagined, and he fell to the ground with a grunting cry of pain. After a little struggle, he couldn't get up immediately. What? This is? Zyaheo has not seen it yet. Point, Zyaksha looked smug. She watched Eminem train her skills, so she had expected it long ago. Point, Zio Gang on the side said, it's the primitive power of the rock system. Zio Gang used to be the gym trainer of the rock type gymnasium in Nabi City, and he is very familiar with the rock type moves. Although primitive power does not have a rock shaped energy body like other rock type moves, after using it, Zio Gang still recognizes it. Rock system. Zyaheo also understood the problem. Point, the rock type is not the original type of Coconut Egg Tree, but the rock type restrains both the insect type and the flying type. For Bayday, it is equivalent to double restraint. Bayday was already on the verge of losing the battle, but was held down by the Coconut Egg Tree with telekinetic power. Bayday abstained. Zyos, he shouted hastily, accept Bayday's abstention. Eminem said from the side. Point, Coconut Egg Tree also understood, and without further instructions from Eminem, he directly used his telekinetic power to put Bayday, who had not resisted, off the court. Point, then Zyos, he released Pikachu again, but Pikachu's sleep state is still there. Pikachu, stand up. Pikachu. Zyos, he hoped to wake up Pikachu. Point, but it seems that he can't wake up for a while, and the Coconut Egg Tree is ready for skills again. Amen. Use photosynthesis. Under the command of Armu, a wave of physical strength was recovered first. Chapter 41, The Legend. Pickup, skin. Just as Pikachu woke up, he received a energy ball in the face, although it was not directly seconded, but because of photosynthesis. Once before, the Coconut Egg Tree was almost in good condition, and at this time it had an advantage in combat power, and finally defeated it after Pikachu stubbornly resisted. Zio. ZHR lost all 3 Pokémon, and Mew won. Zio Gang announced from the side, it's indeed Eminem. Zyos, he said with emotion, and then rushed to the Pokémon Center in a hurry. Point, Armu was about to ask him something, but he couldn't make it in time. Zyaheo also chased after him, leaving only Zio Gang behind. According to Zyos, you have just traveled for more than a month, right? You are indeed a very talented trainer. Zio Gang sighed in admiration. No, there's still a lot of luck involved. Eminem wasn't all humble. Point, indeed, in terms of theoretical combat effectiveness, Eminem's Coconut Egg Tree has an advantage, but Eminem reviewed the game in his mind and felt that he mainly won in hypnosis powder and primitive power before. Point, if the hypnosis powder failed to hit and Pikachu was not crippled as soon as it came up, or Zyos' third Pokémon was not bad, a butterfly who was severely restrained by primitive power, I'm afraid there is still a chance. Beat. After all, Eminem made a serious mistake, that is, the moment when Froggrass received Flying Leaf Quick Knife, but Eminem still murmurs about it now. Zyos' Frog Seed. No, it's Zyos. Does he have any special abilities? Mew asked suspiciously. Point, Zio Gang was taken aback when he heard the words, and then without hesitating for too long, he honestly answered, Emu, I think there may be, but I'm not sure. Eminem already has his own judgment in his heart. The ability to improve the combat power of the Frog Seed should be similar to the power of Changpan's ability to increase the level in battle. Point, however, if Eminem guessed correctly, this should only be useful for Pokémon that have not evolved, especially when facing their own evolutions. As for that Flying leaf quick knife. It may be the immature power of reversal. A power that can reverse the effect of attribute restraint. Amu didn't have time to think about it, so she went to simply register before Zyraksha's urging, and then found a place to pitch the tent. Look outside for me, Zyraksha instructed Eminem, after preparing the bathtub. Oh, Eminem said without raising his head, while writing the battle diary and analyzing the pros and cons. Seeing this, Zyraksha came over and poked him, then asked, "What did I just say? Have you finished washing?" Eminem felt that the time passed quickly. Zyraksha. Seeing this, Zyraksha didn't say much. She directly grabbed Amu, carried him outside the door of her tent, and said, "Here, you just sit here and write, and help me watch the door by the way." This time Eminem readily agreed. When Zyraksha came out, she found that Eminem had already written a full page. After that, Eminem and Zyraksha ate a handcrafted meal in the small restaurant in the campsite by the lake after a long absence, and then had a good night's rest. From the second day on, Amu accompanied Zyraksha to the east bank of the lake where there were few people. Zyraksha still chose the location and started fishing Pokémon, while Emu, who was not very interested in aquatic Pokémon, continued to do Pokémon skill training on the shore. On the first day of fishing for Pokémon, Zyraksha returned empty-handed. On the second day, Zyraksha found a Mahema with eyes. Although it is called seahorse, it can also be caught in the lake. After successfully subduing a Mahema, Zyraksha already has 6 Pokémon. Of course, 6 are not enough, and there will definitely be replacements in the future. Even in league games, players often rotate Pokémon every round. On the one hand, it is to target the opponent, and on the other hand, it is also to prevent oneself from being targeted. Mahema, it seems to have the characteristic of freedom to swim. If it can evolve into the Thorn Dragon King, it will be quite powerful. Amu congratulated Zyraksha, who had just subdued Mahema. The second stage of evolution of Mahema is quite special. For the first time, to evolve to Sea Thorn Dragon, you only need to grow to a certain level, probably level 32 or 33, although this level requirement is not low, but just growth can promote evolution, which is considered the most basic way of evolution. However, the second stage of evolution is more troublesome, and dragon scale is also needed. Well, it seems that we need to pay attention to dragon scale in the future, Zyraksha said confidently. It was as if her Mahema had evolved. In fact, the evolution of such special props is more difficult than carrying various evolution stones. Of course, it's not like in the game, you have to bring dragon scales to exchange Pokémon to evolve. In the real Pokémon world, there are no Pokémon that must be exchanged to evolve. Like Leaf Stone, bring dragon scale to the Sea Thorn Dragon, and there is a chance to trigger evolution as it grows. As for dragon scale, it is a dragon type Pokémon. The scales that have faded, not just casually, but must be faded, generally very strong dragon type Pokémon, at the growth point, only then will the effective dragon scale fade off. Note 1. For the Sea Thorn Dragon, it is best to use dragon scale produced by the Thorn Dragon King. Amu reminded, "No, when we get to the coastal cities of Dangwin, there should be some for sale, and there will definitely be one in Hulan City." Zyraksha is from Hulan City, so of course she understands Hulan City is close to the Hulan Strait and directly connected to the sea. It produces the most water type Pokémon items. If it doesn't evolve, the ability of Sea Thorn Dragon is relatively average. Not only is the racial value mediocre, but also, Mahema's free roaming characteristic, after evolving into a Sea Thorn Dragon, will evolve into a poisonous thorn characteristic, and only after evolving into a Thorn Dragon King can it evolve back to leisurely roaming. This feature is quite critical, and from the combat point of view, both Sea Thorn Dragon and Thorn Dragon King have a greater advantage in the water, but Thorn Dragon King will be less weakened on land. After all, Spine Dragon King has dragon attributes in addition to water attributes, and is better at moving on the ground with rolled up lower limbs than Sea Thorn Dragon. It was getting late, and the two of them returned to the camping area while talking. "How is Alliance skill learning progress?" Zyraksha turned to Amu and asked. "In the past 2 days, Froggrass has also thoroughly mastered Energy Ball and started to practice Hypnotic Powder and Parasite Seed. These two skills, in Eminem's opinion, are more practical. Nadarino's progress in learning 100,000 volts is not too smooth. After all, he is suddenly asked to learn special attack skills, which are not from his department. If you read the tutorial by yourself, Eminem doesn't have any hope. It's a pity that I can't learn it, otherwise I really want to learn it for them. Eminem side point. Eminem, who can ghost up a body, sometimes thinks that it would be great if he can learn skills and then teach Pokémon directly with animal senses. PFFT, how can humans learn Pokémon skills? Zyloksha laughed at Eminem's whimsy point, but at this moment, Zylo Gang, who happened to meet next to the camping area, said after hearing this, humans learn Pokémon skills? It seems that there is such a legend. Mew and Zyloksha heard this and looked over curiously. Zylo Gang recalled, I remember that in the Galar area, there was a similar legend. It seems that there is a kind of wizard school or something, which sends letters to talented people and invites them to enroll. That's right. It is said that many years ago, there is also a very strong wizard who returned to the city area after Galar completed his studies and made some cards. Just listen to that kind of legend. Zyloksha rolled her eyes when she heard the words Note 1. Compared with the evolution of Pokémon in this world, there is no such thing as connected evolution, that is, the magical phenomenon of evolution after exchanging Pokémon, which does not exist in this world. After transferring the Pokémon, it will generally have negative effects, and it may even cause the Pokémon to break away from the Pokémon ball and leave on its own. Dissatisfaction. In the setting of this book, there are more cases where props are needed than in the game. Not only do they need various evolution stones, but Pokémon that exchange evolution in the game also need props in this world. Some are also needed in the game, such as the King's certificate required by the King of Silly, and some are not in the game, such as Hoodie needs the spiritual spoon. Most of the evolution materials needed are the output of other Pokémon. For example, the dumb hippo needs the shed shell of the big tongue clam. Dang dang, a new month has begun. Ask for a monthly pass. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 42 Familiar. Union 200, April 14th. Armu and Zyloksha were in Bailu Lake, but they failed to meet that badger. He seemed to be looking for the water stone, and every time he was staggered with Armu and Zyloksha. Of course, Eminem and Zyloksha didn't want to meet this future champion who was in the limelight. Needless to say, Eminem, in order to become an excellent trainer, she is also determined to win this rookie competition. Even though she knows that the road ahead is difficult, she has no intention of handing over the championship to others. Zyloksha is also holding back her energy. Now the two are definitely not Badger's opponents, and there is no need to meet him. I didn't go with the three of Zylozi. After all, if there are too many people in the same group, they will influence each other to conquer Pokémon. Moreover, the route of Zylozi and his party is very confusing. He has already arrived at the northernmost city of Nibi, and now he is coming back. Zyloksha is definitely not on the waypoint. Although both Emu and Zyloksha were very fond of Zyada Gang's craftsmanship, they still gave up. Zyloksha also learned her lesson this time. Before leaving, she packed a day's worth of sandwiches from the small restaurant in the camping area. After leaving Bailu Lake, Armu and Zyloksha continued to head north, preparing to go to Giantian City not far away. The straight line distance is actually very short, but Giantian City is surrounded by mountains. Although it is not a high mountain, it is difficult to walk on the sloped mountain road. And on the evening of the third day, when the weather suddenly changed, oops, this little wind is a bit bad. Amu sensed the coolness in the wind, which meant it was going to rain. And turned around to look. A black cloud was pressing over. Although Pokémon also has the ability to change the weather, it is actually only a regional change. Not only the area, but also the height is not large, generally the size of the playing field, a range of more than 10 meters high. It is said that some mythical beasts can really change the weather. Even the climate. Ah. There is a villa over there. Let's go there to shelter from the rain first. When Xyloxia looked around, she vaguely saw a villa on another adjacent hilltop among the trees. Well, I hope there is still time. I don't know if anyone is there. Eminem said with some concern. It is not far from Giantian City, and there are no large Pokémon living nearby such as the circle bear. Simply pulling the iron net can ensure the basic safety of the building, and it is not surprising that there will be a villa. However, this kind of villa is generally used for vacation, and it may be idle most of the time. It doesn't matter if there is no one, just borrow it to shelter from the rain. Xyloxia said naturally. Indeed, in this kind of wild house, it is common for travelers to borrow shelter from the rain, and even when there is no one, they usually leave a door for the entrance. It seems that I can't go up that mountain. I have to go this way. When Armu walked through the woods, he found the correct route. The hill where the villa is located is quite steep. You have to go up from the other side and then walk across the suspension bridge. Armu and Xyloxia were very lucky. Just as they walked onto the suspension bridge, it rained heavily with the sound of thunder when running across the suspension bridge. Armu and Xyloxia happened to see the lights on the first floor turned on. It seemed that someone, Xyloxia, who was still running quickly, suddenly hesitated, and Armu thought she was tired, so she pulled her and ran over. Wait. Xyloxia hesitated, but she didn't say anything. So after the two hid under the big shed, Eminem said naturally, it seems that someone is there. Let's knock on the door first. Wait a minute. Xyloxia couldn't help but say. Armu looked over curiously upon hearing this, but Xyloxia just turned her head slightly and said, "Oh, don't bother others." Mew was puzzled for a while, and then said with strange eyes, "Xyloxia, you can't be afraid of ghosts, no." Xyloxia retorted immediately, "Don't worry, it's not far from Giantian City, and, even if there are ghosts, they must be ghost-type Pokémon. I'm worried that I won't be able to find them." Amu said with a big smile. Indeed, places like abandoned villas in the wilderness can easily inhabit ghost-type Pokémon. More importantly, if it is determined that it is a ghost-type Pokémon, it is okay. People who are afraid of ghosts are generally more afraid of ghosts that cannot be explained by ghost-type Pokémon. According to the official statement, there are no ghosts in this world, only ghost-type Pokémon, and there is even a program into the ghost type to explain some situations. Before Xyloxia could say anything else, Armu had already knocked on the door. Thump thump. "Excuse me. Is anyone there? Can you borrow the porch to shelter us from the rain?" Eminem said while knocking on the door. Immediately there were footsteps, and it was a young woman who opened the door. Since she was young, of course she was older than Eminem and Xyloxia. Is it a passing trainer? Please come in." The woman who opened the door had a gentle smile, short hair that wasn't too long, tied into a high ponytail behind her head with a pink headband, and she was also wearing a long pale pink dress. You can tell from her attire that she should have just arrived soon, not lunchewier. But Eminem didn't pay attention to her clothes, but stared at her face for a while. "What's wrong?" the young woman asked in confusion. "Hey." Xyloxia rolled her eyes and poked Eminem at the side, indicating that it was impolite for him to stare at him like this. Sorry, I always feel that you look familiar, thank you." Eminem thanked and walked in. "Really? But I don't have any impression." The young woman seemed to have really recalled it, and said. The woman in the pink dress looked older than Eminem and Xyloxia, about 20 years old. Eminem really didn't remember she knew her at this time. Another square-faced man of about the same age came over and teased, "Little brat, are you trying to strike up a conversation? Ha ha ha. Ayako, you are really charming." Hiroki, the woman in the pink skirt, waved her hand slightly complaining. "Ayako?" Amu was taken aback when he heard this, and felt more and more familiar. Ayako heard this, and was about to ask in doubt if she really knew herself, when she heard footsteps upstairs, and then in the open corridor on the second floor, someone leaned down the railing and asked, "Old lady, there are other guests." The other party exclaimed, after seeing Eminem. Xyloxia also recognized this person at this time, and Armu finally understood where the familiarity just now came from. The garden. Xyloxia. Eminem. I see. Ms. Ayako is Sunoko's older sister, right? I think it looks familiar. Eminem said naturally. Eminem is slightly face blind. Therefore, as long as there is a slight resemblance, in Eminem's opinion, they will be doubly confused. Chapter 43. This environment is too prone to incidents. It turned out to be Sunoko's friend. What a coincidence. Please come in. Ayako said more enthusiastically. Zyaksha was also completely relieved at this time. Since Yuanzi is here, it is obviously not a haunted house. But now Eminem is not at ease. If Sunoko is here, that means Mew? Zyaksha? Zyalan's voice came, followed by a kid with dead fish eyes. Really? Deep mountains and old forests, villas, Conan. Eminem wouldn't think it strange that a death coffin would jump out of here in the next moment, or, we don't bother. Mew just said, and found that Zyaksha had already entered the living room with Yuanzi. Mum, what are you doing? Hurry up. Yuanzi urged from a distance. Eminem had no choice but to change his shoes and enter the house. You guys are lucky. Today my elder sister cooks herself. My elder sister's craftsmanship is the family heirloom sword of the Suzuki family. Sunoko said enthusiastically. When traveling with Zyalan, did Yuanzi also cook? Mew asked curiously. Yuanzi's expression froze when he heard the words, this, how should I put it? Usually it's Zyalan, sister. Zyalan, what's wrong with you? Conan looked at Zyalan worriedly. Oh, it's nothing. Zyalan looked distracted. Seeing this, Yuanzi explained. Zyalan, are you still worried about the weird guy you saw before? It's okay, it must be someone nearby. There are several villas on the surrounding hills. Weird. Eminem keenly sensed the point. Just now when the sky was already overcast, we saw a man wearing a windbreaker, a scarf, and sunglasses. Conan said proactively. Eminem thought about it carefully and didn't think of which episode it was originally. Eminem didn't have a deep impression of the plot of Conan. He only remembered a few theatrical versions, and some classic cases may have some impressions, and in this world, the case of Conan has long been beyond recognition, such as murder in a secret room. It is already unreliable enough. If you use Pokémon, there are too many ways to create a secret room, right? In order to divert Zyalan's attention, Yuanzi chatted with Zyaksha. Zyaksha talked about how Mew tamed Midorino and herself tamed Eminem, talked about the badger I had heard about, and talked about the scenery of Bailu Lake. On the other hand, Yuanzi talked about the robbery incident of the Cantero night they encountered, the theft incident of the ghost hotel, and the kidnapping incident of the long distance bus. Why so? That's the case. There is such a thing. Your journey is really wonderful. Zyaksha also looked a little overwhelmed. Slim Shady, I always feel that my journey with Zyaksha is similar to that of Yuanzi and others, but the style of painting is completely different, and looking at it this way, Zyalan's worries seemed completely justified. At this moment, 3 other men, Ayako who had changed into home clothes, and another woman in purple who was helping in the kitchen also came to the restaurant at this time. I'll help too. Amu saw that Ayako and another woman were serving dishes, so she quickly got up to help. After all, in a while, maybe someone will get murderous, so it's better to be well behaved and harmless. You big men also learn from his younger brother, Ayako said half jokingly to the other 3 men. Among them, the square-faced man I had seen before was holding a camcorder and said while shooting, I still want to record your hard work. This is a rare piece of information. Hahaha. Another man with straight hair and a shawl on his head said, Hiroki, you really haven't changed. You still like photography so much. That's right. I haven't given up yet. Hiroki said with a smile. Well, next time if you don't take a picture of a flashing toucan, call it Phoenix King. The straight-haired man said seriously. Asham, don't just mention my embarrassing things. Hahaha. Mew squeezed a cold sweat at the side, seeing that the two were really joking and not mocking each other, so he was relieved. The last man wearing glasses said with emotion, I really envy you can always stick to your ideal. Wait a minute, Ryoichi, don't try to hide it from us. In fact, you still went to the crew for an interview secretly, right? Hiroki pointed the camera over the man with glasses, quickly waved his hands and said, it's just some extra characters and stuntmen. Don't make fun of them. Don't make fun of them. Yuanzi. Also introduced at the side at this time. They are all friends who used to be in the film club with my elder sister when they were in college, and now they get together every 2 years. Well, some people who don't have the talent of a trainer can only go to college. However, even ordinary people usually have at least one Pokémon. Without the aid of the illustrated book, they can only carry one Pokémon ball with only Pokémon point. Non-trainers, after getting older and mentally declining, can only carry 3 elves. Even if they have a picture book just like Kagoro's business card, there are only 3 elves. By the way, Sonoko, don't you want to be a coordinator? If you want to develop in movies, you can have a good chat with Chikako. Ayako said at this time. Yuanzi heard the words and immediately said embarrassedly, where is that? People just think so, coordinator or something. It doesn't just need to be good looking. Ha 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 ha, slim. Shady. Well, it seems that she has no embarrassment. Speaking of which, Chikako's new drama will be released soon, right? How about an interview? Hiroki's camera turned on. You can do it. Chikako, who was wearing a purple top, rolled her eyes. Ah, Zijiazi. I remember. He is the screenwriter and director of The Sky of the Blue Jay, right? Xiaolan suddenly realized. That's right. That script was written by Chikako when she was in college, and it won the Best New Work award at that time, and now it's finally released. Hiroki said from the side. At this time, Amu had already distributed the tableau with Sister Ayako. Seeing that the atmosphere was still harmonious, she secretly breathed a sigh of relief. But as soon as Ayako sat down, she said with emotion, it would be great if Atsuko was here. As soon as this remark came out, the expressions of the other old friends present all changed. Enough. Zijiazi suddenly stood up, then sat down slowly and said, I'm not here to talk about someone who died 2 years ago. Seeing Giles' tone, Ushing immediately sneered. Oh. He is famous, but his tone is different. Seeing that they were going to quarrel, Ayako quickly persuaded them to make peace. As for Eminem, he made up his mind while eating sullenly, and then released all the Pokémon at night to avoid accidents. Dong dong. I recommend a new Pokémon themed book, A Certain Dragon Slaying Trainer. Chapter 44 IT-039. Not because of you. The atmosphere in the villa took a turn for the worse. If it is on an ordinary occasion, Eminem may even quarrel as an ordinary friend. However, Amu looked at Conan and always felt that he should not be careless at this time. After the dignified dinner, Hiroki took out a Pokémon battle card in order to ease the atmosphere and said, let's play cards. None of them have the talent to train Pokémon, and even if they have a Pokémon partner, they are not suitable for battle. Okay. The funny Yuanzi immediately agreed. Zijiazi stood up at this time. The rain is getting lighter. I'll go for a walk. Then she walked out regardless. Wait. In the mountains at this time, it might rain again at any time. Hiroki hurriedly tried to stop it. It's okay. I won't go too far. Zijiazi was unmoved. Then, I'll accompany you, Hiroki said, and had no choice but to follow. At this time, Ushing, who had some good looks, came over to Xiaoxia. Beautiful lady, I can feel that you also have the breath of water on your body. How about a walk in the rain? Yuanzi was suddenly furious at the sight. She thought that Usheng was handsome and wanted to strike up a conversation, but when he walked over just now, Yuanzi thought he was looking for her. Of course not. It's not a matter of appearance. Usheng naturally respects the eldest lady of the Suzuki Consortium, and he can clearly understand this. Walking in the rain? Xiaoxia had a what are you talking about expression. It's just a walk in the forest, Ashing said, frivolously wanting to step forward and hold Xiaoxia's hand. But he pulled it to Eminem, who handed over his hand. She is a water system trainer, and she needs to train skills and characteristics of rainy weather. I prefer the air in the mountains and forests. How about going for a walk with you? Amu said with a serious face. Xiaoxia looked at Amu's back and couldn't help but blushed slightly. What was he so nervous for? Xiaosheng was taken aback when he saw this, and then smiled and said, ha ha ha, what? So you have such a meaning? I didn't see it at all just now. Forget it, I'll go take a rest. Xiao Shen glanced at Ziolan as he spoke, his gaze skipped over Yuanzi point, but because Zyaksha was invited just now in front of Zyalan, it is not easy for him to change the target directly at this time point. As for Eminem, I was relieved at this moment you have the talent to be a victim with your profligacy. Fortunately, I was resourceful and stopped you. As soon as Armu turned around, she found that Zyaksha lowered her head, and Yuanzi and Zyalan looked at her with some special meaning in their eyes, especially the former, with gossip flashes visible to the naked eye. What's wrong? Emma wondered. Yuanzi hurriedly brought an umbrella and said, Mum, do you want to go for a walk with Zyaksha? Huh? Armu was a little puzzled, taking advantage of the light rain that is about to fall. Shouldn't you be training water skills? Zyaksha's expression froze immediately. Yes, I still have to train the water element skills, as well as the characteristic of swimming freely. Hehe. Yuanzi and Zyalan looked at each other, looked at Armu and asked, then won't you go to train together? Armu showed an even more puzzled expression. Me? There is no sun, and it's still raining. How do I train grass type and electric type skills? Can hypnosis powder and 100,000 volts train in rainy days? Do you have common sense about trainers? Zyaksha, Yuanzi, Zyalan, even Conan was on the side, showing an expression of you are really a brother then. I went to train skills. Zyaksha felt that the atmosphere was already here, and it seemed unreasonable not to train point at this time. Yuanzi was holding Zyalan in his left hand, and Zyaksha's arm in his right hand, and said, there is no rush for training, let's go for a walk. Mew looked at Zyaksha and the other three, and then at the second floor. Ordinarily, the three people in Yuanzi, including myself, are all outsiders. Even if there are murderers, as long as they are not murderers, they will not attack them. Therefore, the most dangerous person should be the prodigal man on the second floor, followed by the murderer just now. That Chikako who left. Right, wait. For me a moment. Armu said, and ran upstairs first. This villa is very big, and Ayako had arranged rooms for him, and Zyaksha respectively. Moreover, Emu's room is just opposite to the prodigal man's room. After Emu entered the room, he released the naughty mine first. Boom. Naughty Laydan looked at Eminem suspiciously. Boom. I feel that the person opposite may be in danger for a while, but I have to go out first. Can you watch for me? Eminem said while stroking the wooden head of Naughty Lay Point. If it's a competition, Naughty Thunderball won't talk to Eminem. After all, it hasn't recognized Eminem's training ability. But, for someone's safety, it's okay to be on guard. Thanks. Seeing that the naughty Lebo turned his head arrogantly, but did not refuse, he knew that it agreed. Then Eminem also went out with Sonoko and the three of them. I'll go with you too. There may be a bear in the mountains, and you can also look for Chikako and Toroki who just left. Amu said as a matter of course. And Conan naturally followed. At this time, the rain was very light, and it seemed to be an intermission. After walking into the forest, there was no need to open an umbrella at all. The three girls walked in front, and Eminem and Conan hung behind. Hey, why did you stop that little boy and go for a walk with Zyaksha? Conan asked playfully. It's not because of you, Eminem said confidently. Conan, it's not my business. Didn't you realize that where you are, everyone tends to be impulsive and murderous? I see that those people seem to have some knots in their hearts. That little boy looks like a slut, and you are here again. Someone will want to kill him. Eminem continued to be confident. Conan asked in disbelief. Oh, are you sure it's not because of Zyaksha? No matter who he invited at that time, I would stop it, even Yuanzi or Zyalan. Eminem said naturally. Conan, you don't need to worry about Zyalan. Take care of yourself. Conan rolled his eyes to the sky. By the way, are you sure you don't want to test it? Do you have a ghost talent? Maybe you have the power of death or something. This joke is not at all. Just then, a scream came. What's wrong? Eminem and Conan immediately became nervous and ran forward. As a result, he saw a human-shaped coffin with shadowy palms sticking out from behind, and he grabbed Zylaksha and the others. If they were facing ordinary wild Pokémon, Zylaksha and the others could still release their own Pokémon to fight normally, but this scene directly broke their spirits, and they turned and ran away screaming. Chapter 45. The Sinnoh being attacked. Stop it, little Lan. Seeing this, Amu immediately released the coconut egg tree, froggrass, and Nidorino. It's a pity that naughty Layden was left in the villa. Originally, Eminem thought that the prodigal man was the most dangerous, while she and Sinnoh were the safest. Use 100,000 volts energy ball under Eminem's command. Nidorino used the unskilled 100,000 volts. Nidorino's whole body was seen with shining electrical energy, and then he swept towards the strange coffin in front of him. However, due to lack of proficiency, the power of the electric system swept over is like a stroke. What is wrong is that the movement of this strange coffin is indeed restricted, and the two head-sized energy balls are directly pasted on it, and they all hit. But after the smoke and dust cleared, the other party didn't seem to be hurt much, but floated back a little, and then the four hands stretched out from the shadows behind them seemed to be in a ball, and the blue-purple ghost fire emerged and shot at Eminem and him. The Pokémon burned over. Eminem quickly rolled around like a lazy donkey. Unlike Pokémon duels, in real battles, the opponent will attack the trainer. Coconut egg tree and froggrass also took advantage of the situation to dodge. Only Nidorino couldn't dodge in time and was burned. At the same time, the strange coffin continued to fly backwards and quickly disappeared in the shadow of the mountain forest. Don't chase. Amen. Rs1, be on your guard. Taking advantage of the coconut egg tree and the froggrass being on guard, Amu quickly took out the universal medicine that he brought with him and first healed Nidorino burn condition. Amu is sure that this is not a wild Pokémon and he has no intention of taming it, and he is also worried that the other party has other Pokémon, so he didn't chase it. At this moment, there was another noise not far away, and Eminem didn't take back the 3 Pokémon, but ran over together. Seeing that Zylaksha and others were still in shock, Yuanzi sat down on the ground and was covered in mud. Several people's Pokémon, including Conan's skateboard Rotom, were released at this time. The 3 of them were frightened by the strange coffin before and ran away quickly. Conan worried that something might happen to them, so he also followed, and only Eminem stopped the strange coffin. What's wrong? Emma asked quickly. Just now, a strange person rushed over and wanted to attack Yuanzi. Zylaksha said hastily. Amu followed Zylaksha's line of sight and saw a broken axe beside her. It seemed that she released the Pokémon in time to stop it. Fortunately, Zylan broke the opponent's weapon with a kick and then escaped after seeing that we had released the Pokémon. Zylaksha continued to say with a sigh of relief. Slim Shady, it's him. It's that weird guy we saw before. Zylan said hastily. Him? The man with the scarf and sunglasses? Eminem was taken aback when he heard this, and then some familiar feelings appeared in his heart. It's not safe in the mountains. Let's go back to the villa first. Conan didn't care about pretending to be a child, so he gave a very mature suggestion at this time. Amu also quickly agreed, seeing that Yuanzi had some difficulty getting up, so she stepped forward and helped her up. Yuanzi cried out again when he stood up. Immediately Eminem discovered that she had sprained one of her ankles. I have the wound medicine for people in my backpack. Go back first, Amu said, looking at the frogweed and coconut egg tree. After feeling that neither of them was suitable for carrying people, Amu leaned forward and carried the garden on his back first. Thank you. Yuanzi blushed when the group returned to the villa. Ayako and the others were also taken aback. Fortunately, Chikako and Toroki had also returned safely by this time. What? Someone attacked you? You used Pokémon? Ayako asked in surprise. Well, it should be the death coffin, right? Conan said and looked at Eminem. After hearing the words, Eminem nodded after hesitating for a while. Well, I'll go get the medicine first. It was indeed the death god's coffin. Although it was very dark in the woods just now, and I couldn't see any details clearly, the physical characteristics were still very obvious. Only Eminem always felt that something was weird. While going back to the room to get the medicine, Amu looked at the illustrated book again. Death coffin, a coffin like Pokémon with a golden body, red eyes, and foreshadow like grey hands in ancient times. The death coffin symbolized the wealth of the king, so there are murals of it in many ancient tombs in the Hezhang area. Legend has it that it will pretend to be a real coffin and lock the approaching tomb robbers in its body to make a mummy, but research has proved that even if it is accidentally attacked by a wild death coffin and involved in the coffin, it will only be bandaged unless it is in the ancient tomb. There is a death coffin with the responsibility of guarding the spirit, otherwise it would not directly attack humans. It is quite dangerous and has caused many deaths of tomb robbers. If it is found in an ancient tomb, it should be kept away. Although it is not as scary as in the legend, it is indeed not groundless. In some ancient tombs in the Hezhang area, the death coffins inside are equivalent to hundreds of thousands of years of deep sleep while performing the duty of tomb guard. In this case, they will really kill grave robbers. Ordinarily, in the Kanto region, wild death coffins are still very rare. After all, the mainland where the Hezhang region is located is far from the Kanto region. At the same time, the purely wild death coffin is much less dangerous. Even if it is involved, it will not really kill people, but it will be bandaged. Bandage? Eminem suddenly realized that this could not be the bandage monster incident. Eminem only has an impression of a small number of episodes in Conan, and this naturally includes the bandage monster incident. After all, its horror level can also be ranked in the forefront in the early Conan. It's just that Eminem didn't think of it immediately because he said something weird about wearing a scarf and sunglasses at the beginning. However, with the death coffin as an inspirational reminder, Eminem immediately had an association. After all, this is the world of Pokémon, and many cases have become unrecognizable, and indeed they are all disguised to conceal their identities. Then, Eminem immediately tried to recall the identities of the real murderer and the victim. The name must have been forgotten, but the real culprit of this incident in Conan, the characteristic Eminem remembers very clearly, a fake fat man who put the victim's head in a fake stomach, the kind that no one would suspect. The reason why Xiaolan was attacked in the episode was also because Xiaolan saw his real body when she accidentally broke into the door. So she was worried that it would be exposed. But the one being attacked right now is Sonoko. This is not a big difference. More importantly, the situation is obviously different now. There is no fat man in the villa now, so there is no such thing as pretending to be fat. Sure enough, solving cases is not my forte. After taking the wound medicine, Amu hurried downstairs to remind everyone to be careful and try not to leave orders. Chapter 46 Events. It hurts. Sonoko cried out in pain. I haven't pressed it yet, Amu said with white eyes. Oh. Yuanzi explained with some embarrassment after hearing the words. I'll practice first. Sonoko was sitting on a chair in the living room at this time, having taken off the shoe and sock of her injured left foot, and Eminem was about to apply medicine to her. Oops, it's already swollen. Ayako looked at Sonoko's left ankle with some distress on the originally white and tender skin. There was an obvious bruise at this time. It's okay, a small bruise. Eminem corrected that it wasn't bad. Sonoko. Yuanzi's expression turned grim. This time it was Eminem who was actually applying the medicine. After the spray, there was still medicine to be applied externally, so I needed to press it harder. But after being told by Eminem, Sonoko was embarrassed to call out again. Then Amu simply helped her fix it with a bandage, and secretly sighed in her heart. Humans are more troublesome than Pokémon, and Pokémon's medicine can basically be sprayed. Okay. After tying it up, Amu patted her calf to show it's done, but Yuanzi gave her a glare. No, I still can't get through. It seems that the phone line has been damaged. At this moment, Hongshu put down the phone irritably. Even the Pokémon illustrated book cannot be connected to the internet in the wild, and there is no natural wireless signal. On the one hand, the wireless base station is easily damaged by Pokémon. On the other hand, because some Pokémon are sensitive to wireless signals, the Alliance does not allow it to go anywhere near the signal. Generally only in towns will there be wireless signals like the villas here. The telephones used are also wired. It seems that someone is watching us after the rain stops. Mew was about to say that after the rain stopped, everyone would go to Giantian City together, but at this moment, there was a sound of broken glass in a room facing south on the second floor, followed by Ryoichi's startled voice in the corridor. Call, who is there? Immediately, there was the sound of falling to the ground, and after that Ryoichi, who was sitting on the ground, retreated to the handrail with his hands and hips, hit his back against the fence, and pointed at the window he was facing, with a frightened expression of saying no. The way he spoke, "What's wrong?" Conan asked. Immediately point from the angle of the first floor. He couldn't see the direction he was pointing at. Seeing that the other party was too scared to speak, Conan immediately ran upstairs, but at this moment, who? Dairoki on the first floor exclaimed again, and Conan turned his head immediately and saw a figure wrapped in bandages, holding Chikako hostage, passing by the window next to the gate. Xiaolan couldn't help screaming when she saw the bandages all over her body. Stop. Seeing this, Conan shouted and chased him out. Eminem followed closely at this time, and as soon as he went out, he released 3 Pokémon to chase together. It is said that Conan has Rotom on the skateboard, and his speed should be very fast, but the opponent ran directly into the forest, and his Rotom may not have adapted to the body of the skateboard, so he was thrown off instead. Damn it. Where did it go? Seeing that no one was there, Conan got off the skateboard and looked around. But it was already dark at this time, and it was in the mountains and forests, so there was no one in sight. Fortunately, Dairoki's voice came again at this time. Who is it? Wait a minute. Stop, Amu. And Conan immediately chased after hearing the sound, and saw Hiroki running along the mountain stream, shouting at the same time, "Quick, Chikako." Chikako was washed down. What? Amu was startled when she heard the words, and immediately commanded, "A lion, quickly catch her with the vines." The vines immediately stretched out from under the flower buds of the frog grass, but they stretched to the extreme, but they couldn't catch up with the figure, who was quickly washed away. If you continue to chase, you will see that the slopes on both sides of the mountain stream are already very steep. What will happen? Seeing that Conan had already released Rotom on his skateboard again, and was about to go straight down, Eminem quickly stopped him and said, "Don't be impulsive. In this world, the accidental death rate is lower, but it is not without it. And Chikako might be dead." Shinichi himself has encountered murder cases 3 or 4 times. Just when Conan didn't want to give up, he saw a curtain of water rushing down the river. Xiaoxia rushed over from the gentle slope behind and shouted, "You to come back and leave it to the professionals." Not long after, there was another curtain of water, breaking through the water and rushing back straight up. At this moment, Eminem also saw clearly that it was a horned goldfish, and it was going upstream at this time, and there was a person on its back. It was undoubtedly Zigiozi. But when the horned goldfish came up and pushed Zigiozi to the shore, everyone stepped forward and found that she was not breathing. Xiaoxia and the others had already covered their mouths in horror, and Amu climbed up at this time and immediately stepped forward to look at the pupils. The pupils just started to dilate. It should be from shock after drowning. That is to say, the prisoner didn't throw the corpse, but just fell into the mountain stream after being stunned or hypnotized. At the same time as Amu spoke, he had already lifted Zigiozi upside down, and after briefly controlling the water, he started cardiopulmonary resuscitation and artificial respiration. This kind of drowning, if she doesn't restore her heartbeat first, even if there is a healing Pokémon, it will be useless. Seeing this, Xiaoxia and the others watched nervously. After doing several rounds of first aid, Zigiozi suddenly trembled and then spontaneously spit out a mouthful of water. Conan felt Kako's pulse at the side at this time and nodded to Emu with a sigh of relief. Amu also sat back with a sigh of relief and said at the same time, "Find something first and carry her back as soon as possible. It's going to rain again." Not Long after, the group returned to the villa again. Just after Hiroki, Xiaosheng and Ryoichi also chased after him. Only Xiaolan and Ayako released the Pokémon and guarded the injured Sunoko. When she returned to the villa, Zhijiazi was still in a coma. Ayako checked her briefly and found that there were many bruises on her body, including 2 on her head. It is conceivable that she was really thrown from the rushing mountain stream. Firstly, thanks to the people in this world who were able to resist. Secondly, it was because Xiaoxia with the horned goldfish caught up with her in time and caught her up. Thirdly, Amu's rescue was considered timely, otherwise, there is no reason to not die after such a toss. But even after being rescued, Chikako remained in a coma. Seeing this, Ayako and the others were silent, and in the end it was Xiaosheng who said worriedly, "Could it be Zhijiazi will be like Atsuko, as expected?" Conan paid attention immediately when he heard the words, relying on children's words without restraint. He opened his mouth and asked, "Miss Dunzi, you are talking about Conan?" Xiaolan quickly stopped Conan. "The mummy must be the death coffin," Hiroki said fearfully, looking at the playback of the portable video recorder. When the bandaged man passed under the window on the side of the gate, Hiroki just turned on the video recorder. Conan and Mew also leaned over at this time, only to find that it was indeed a figure wrapped in bandages, holding Chikako, who seemed to have passed out. As for Xiaoxia and Yuanzi, they both looked like they wanted to see, but didn't dare to look at it. Only Xiaolan really hid far away. Although the familiar bandages have appeared, Amu can no longer judge the murderer at this time. After all, Chikako is not dead, and the murderer is not wearing a head, and the method is completely different. Dang dang, Li Xiang has published a new book, "See You for a Long Time, The Correction Tape," and the author, who has guarded the city for 100 years, being a human being from Conan, karate wins Kaigoku, faster than a gun within 7 steps. And able to climb skyscrapers, capture the sniper, legend, break the defense, and drive the helicopter to go out. The endless stream of comics starting from Conan. After all, I'm also half of Conan, so there's nothing wrong with Pi, right? Chapter 47, Reasoning that cannot understand each other. First attacked Sunoko and almost killed Chikako. Is this death coffin a murderous maniac? Did any of you bother any ancient tombs? It's not necessarily just disturbed by other people, it is attacking humans indiscriminately. That's right. Otherwise how could the suspension bridge be burned down? Because of the bandage. Everyone's panic soon became unified in the direction of death's coffin, harming people. Probably in their view, the man with the bandage is equivalent to the ghost of the death's coffin. Eminem also did not emphasize that it is written in the illustrated book that the death coffin turns people into mummies is just a legend. This kind of words are like saying there are no ghosts in the world before time travel. Although it is correct, but if people don't believe it, there is nothing you can do. Especially when there is a case in front of you. Don't sleep tonight, everyone. Let's go to Jianshan City tomorrow, Hongshu suggested. If the drawbridge hadn't been burned, they even wanted to move it tonight. But after tossing around for a long time, it was almost 12 o'clock and everyone was sleepy, so Ayako said, "I'll make coffee for everyone." Seeing this, Amu followed up, "I'll be with you. It's better not to be alone at this time." Conan also followed quietly at this time. Amu thought it was instant coffee at first, but it turned out to be a coffee grinder that he didn't know how to operate at all, so he washed the cup aside and asked at the same time, "Miss Ayako, the Miss Atsuko that everyone said before is?" Conan, who followed quietly, secretly gave a thumbs up to Eminem. "You understand it quite well. It was another member of our film club. 2 years ago, when he was about to graduate, he committed suicide by jumping into the river. Although he was rescued, he suffered a head injury due to the rush of the river. I still haven't woken up yet." Ayako sighed and said in a low voice, "So, that Miss Atsuko was also a screenwriter when she was in the film club?" Amu asked sharply suddenly. Yeah, what's wrong?" Ayako was a little surprised, not understanding how Amu knew. "Nothing." Eminem changed the subject. There's no more milk here. I'll go to the storage room next door." "I'll go, you stay here." The second half of Eminem's sentence was to the frog grass and the coconut egg tree point. Although he roughly guessed the motive of the murderer, he still let them accompany Ms. Ayako, just to be on the safe side. Conan outside the door, after Amu came out, hurriedly followed him and said, "What did you find? What did you find?" Eminem still didn't understand. "How do you know that Miss Dunzi is also a screenwriter?" Conan thought for a long time, but he didn't understand the logic. Could it be this guy understands reasoning better than me? So Conan questioned both curiously and unconvinced. While finding the carton of milk, Eminem said naturally, "Isn't the Chicago who was killed the screenwriter?" Huh? So what? Conan still didn't understand the logic of these screenwriters, writers, etc. 10 of them were killed, and 9 of them were due to plagiarism and copyright infringement, and 8 of them were killed by apprentices. Zigiozi has no apprentices, and the others are not screenwriters, so it is obvious that Atsuko is the screenwriter. She must have copied Atsuko's work. Isn't your father also a writer? You should understand. Although Eminem has forgotten the details of each episode, the cause of death of the writer and screenwriter is generally the same. Conan, why writers and screenwriters can only die in this kind of thing? And how can my father understand? Huh? Conan, your father is also a writer. As soon as Mew and Conan came out of the storage room, they met Xiaolan, who came upstairs. At this time, Xiaolan looked at Conan suspiciously. Conan immediately panicked and said, "What? Brother Emu, you misremembered again. Obviously the father of the new brother is the writer." Ha ha ha. Fortunately, Xiaolan didn't pay much attention to it. She just asked curiously, "What writers and screenwriters are you talking about?" "Oh, let me tell you that in the future, if you encounter writers and screenwriters who are killed, if there are apprentices or assistants on the scene, you can just arrest them directly. Basically, you will not be caught wrong." Eminem said very confidently. Conan, you guys are looking down on reasoning, right? What is your reason, especially speculative novelists? Eminem added. When Conan heard this, he gave him an even more annoyed look. Seeing that Xiaolan still looked confused, Conan was afraid she would ask again, so he quickly changed the subject and said, "Sister Xiaolan, why are you here?" "I'm here to get some things for you, Anzi." Xiaolan said vaguely. As for what? Boys don't ask too much. At this time, Ayako had already poured the coffee, and Conan rolled his eyes and immediately said, "Toilet. I need to go to the toilet." "Sister Xiaolan, can you help Sister Ayako with it first?" "Brother Emu, come and accompany me to the bathroom." "Okay, be careful." This time Xiaolan didn't teach him a lesson. After all, she really couldn't act alone now. Said that Conan had pulled Amu into his and Xiaolan's room. Amu also knew that he definitely wanted to investigate something, so he didn't refuse. He just came in and asked, "Hey, are you in the same room as Xiaolan?" Conan pretended not to hear, and after Ayako and Xiaolan left, Conan quietly opened the door and then whispered, "Let's go to Chikako's room to see." Amu didn't refuse, and Zigiozi's room was unlocked at this time, and there was a gust of cold wind after opening the door. The sound of glass breaking before was from Zigiozi. If we only make a positive logical judgment, the mummy broke in through the glass and snatched away Chikako. Conan looked close to the broken window and said, "Sure enough, it looks like it was broken from the outside." Everyone has come to confirm that the glass in Zigiozi's room is broken before, but before Conan can come in to observe more, he is taken away by Xiaolan. Slim Shady? What's the problem with breaking it outside? Eminem didn't understand what Conan meant. The other party broke in. Isn't it normal to break the glass from the outside? No, if it's really made by the death coffin, the ghost type Pokémon can directly blur and pass through the wall. There is no need to break the glass when entering. After hypnotizing and hijacking Zigiozi can't get out, so you need to break it glass. Conan said logically. Slim Shady, as expected of a detective, he easily thought of things that I didn't think of. However, this is very strange. Why did he pass by the gate after kidnapping Chikako? It was as if he wanted to show us, but then he just ran away. Conan muttered suspiciously. Indeed, the window on Zigiozi's side is on the south side, and the gate of the villa is on the north side. If you want to go to the forest on the side, you don't need to pass by the main entrance point if it was to reap fear, but the other party did not do anything special afterwards. They just fled all the way and threw Chicago into the mountain stream. It must be for the alibi. That is to say, the murderer is among those 3 people. Amu said naturally. What is there to hesitate about? It can indeed be explained in this way, but it is not necessarily. And why are there 3 people? There are obviously 4 people. Conan looked at Eminem with an expression of "you're making loose reasoning again." 4? It can't be Ms. Ayako. She's Sanoko's older sister. Mew said naturally. Conan is very disdainful of Eminem's blatant selfishness. Dang. Recommend a new Pokémon themed book. Elf Invasion. I live stream popular science Pokémon live streaming, focusing on new daily Pokémon articles. Chapter 48 Junsha. If the other party didn't come in through the window, then, in fact, it is very likely that Zijiazi went out by herself. Let's go to the back door to see. Conan's small head kept spinning. No need. In fact, after Yuanzi was attacked, I asked Boom to be on guard in the corridor on the 2nd floor. Chikako must not have left the house. Amu didn't move. Conan frowned when he heard the words. Then his eyes lit up, and he immediately went to check the broken window, and he found it wasn't locked at all. That's right. It must be that Chikako went out by herself, and she went out through the window, and then, if this is the case. Conan suddenly realized something. It's not surprising to go out from the window on the 2nd floor. Don't look at Chikako as weak, but the human beings in this world are inherently resistant, and there is a rain shelter underneath. It must be to avoid us. I guess she used the evidence that she stole Atsuko's works to threaten her to go out and trade. Amu said naturally. That's not what I'm wondering about, and don't be so arbitrary, okay? Conan said with white eyes. Conan left Chikako's room as he said that, and carefully walked to the window at the end of the corridor on the 2nd floor from the perspective of avoiding the living room on the 1st floor. Ryoichi saw it here before. There was a figure shaking downstairs, so he shouted and asked, and then he was shocked when he found out that the bandage monster was holding Chikako. Conan seemed to think of something. Conan, if you're okay, come down quickly. Xiaolan greeted from downstairs. Conan quickly responded and came down to the living room with Eminem, only to find that other people were still watching the video that Hiroki happened to record before. What's wrong? Did you find anything? Conan asked in confusion. Xiaolan and Yuanzi just said that this person's body shape is very similar to the person they saw before and the person who attacked Yuanzi in the forest. Ayako said worriedly. Isn't it a wild death coffin? But a trainer from the ghost department is attacking us. Xiao Sheng's voice trembled. Yuanzi, who put a tripod on the chair, curled his lips at this moment. I thought this guy was handsome before, but unfortunately he was a silver-like pewter gunhead, and he was very timid. Thinking of this, Sonoko involuntarily glanced at Eminem, then quickly put aside and shook his head. Yuanzi, what's the matter? Did you remember anything? Xiaolan looked at Yuanzi with a strange expression in doubt. No, Yuanzi said firmly. Xiaolan looked at Yuanzi wonderingly. Big brother Hiroki, big brother Ryoichi, what is your Pokémon? Conan started to talk childishly from the side. Little brother, you are not doubting us, are you? Sheng looked at Conan helplessly. Sorry, he's talking nonsense again. Xiaolan hurriedly wanted to apologize. Just suspected that it was the work of the ghost trainer. Conan asked everyone what Pokémon they had. If they were adults, they might have already quarreled. At this time, Hiroki said from the side, but that's impossible. When this guy appeared here, all of us were in the room, weren't we? He pointed to the small screen where the video recorder was playing. But it's okay for you to take a look, Ryoichi said, releasing his long-tailed monster hand. TCH. Although Sheng was upset, he still released his ladder. It's nothing to look at. Hiroki seemed to be reluctant, but his tone was vaguely proud. I saw. Conan and Eminem were also surprised, only to see that it was a golden toucan. How's it going? Isn't it beautiful? Dairoki was full of pride. It seems that he has subdued the toucan mentioned earlier. Well, the flash toucan does go well with photographers. Look, little brother, there's no death coffin inside. Ghost trainers are usually very gloomy guys. Dairoki whispered. As for the ghost trainer, Conan heard the words and glanced at Armu, only to find that Armu was also looking at him. Sister Ayako, what is your Pokémon? Conan continued childishly. Hey, brat. Yuanzi gave the brat a dissatisfied look point, but at this moment, Ayako really hesitated and looked at Mew. My Pokémon. Seeing this, Conan looked along suspiciously. Armu felt that there was no need to continue to keep it secret at this time, so she said, I asked Sister Ayako. At this moment, there was a knock on the door. It's raining heavily outside now, and it's still in the middle of the night. Obviously the suspension bridge outside has been destroyed. Everyone panicked when they heard the sound, but soon there was a shout. Is someone calling the police here? I'm Junsha. Open the door. Call the police. Dairoki and the others looked at each other unexpectedly. The telephone lines were clearly cut off before. It's the Blue Jay. Before knowing Jazi, she might have sensed something and left her Blue Jay with me for safekeeping. Ayako said at this time. Blue Jay, a flying type Pokémon that is more common in the Galar area. If it evolves again, it will be the Steel Llama J. Zygia's play is called the Sky of the Blue Jay, and it is not surprising that there are Blue Jays. Blue Jay? This kind of weather? Dairoki asked in surprise. Flying type Pokémon generally dare not fly in this kind of heavy rain, otherwise the feathers will get wet and consume extra energy. Not to mention, and being struck by lightning is no joke. It was Eminem who reminded me. My Gala Gala went too. Ayako opened the door while talking. Gala Gala. Dairoki and the others hadn't reacted yet. Miss Ayako's Gala Gala is the characteristic of lightning rod, and that Blue Jay is the characteristic of strong chest muscles from the Pokémon food prepared by Ayako. Eminem speculated that her Pokémon is Gara Gala, and then asked Ayako about the characteristics of that Gacha Gala, and then suggested this. Strong chest muscles enable the Blue Jay to fly in the rain, and at the same time carry the rattling lightning rod, which will attract lightning. This is not a real lightning rod. It is not a lightning rod that is cut down to conduct electricity away, but after attracting lightning, it will naturally absorb the lightning. Amu specially asked Ayako to keep it secret, lest the murderer would jump over the wall if he knew it. However, what surprised Eminem was that there was only one Junsha who came. The other party's identity could not be faked, because Junsha's gene could be seen from his appearance. It was Junsha from the Junsha clan. As soon as the other party came in, he hurriedly confirmed, is this the police here? Are any of you seriously injured? That's right, the injured Zygiazi is here. Miss Junsha, are you the only one here? Ayako couldn't help asking. There is a small scale flash flood at the bottom of the mountain, and there is no way. I flew up first. By the way, let me see the injured first. Can I make sure of the situation? Junsha looked a little frizzy. As for flying up, Junsha naturally can't fly. It should be because he has a flying Pokémon that can carry people. If the Blue Jay is the case, it will definitely not be able to carry people in this kind of weather. If you don't mind, let's change into dry clothes first. Ayako looked worriedly at Miss Junsha's soaked uniform. After being said so, Junsha also felt very wet, so he nodded and said, thank you. Hey, is it okay? Conan whispered. Indeed, this Miss Junsha looks a little reckless. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelos. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 49 IT-039, It. After changing his uniform, Junsha's long hair fell down to his waist. She also specially combed her hair before she came out. The broken bangs were divided on both sides in front of her forehead, not too thick. Eminem didn't look carefully at the figure or something. But I already know that Miss Junsha is riding her big wave bird. No, it was carved. Have you not woken up after drowning for so long? Junsha looked at Zijiazi lying in front of him solemnly. Well, I tried the coconut egg tree before, but because my coconut egg tree is not professional, I didn't dare to go too deep. Amu said on the side point after drowning shock. It is not impossible to become a vegetable and completely comatose, and it is not impossible to wake up without knowing when point after all. Coconut tree has not been trained in spiritual therapy, and Eminem dared not let him give it a try, so. Junsha's heavy tone paused for a moment, and the attention of the others could not help being attracted, and she continued, this is undoubtedly a vicious and serious injury crime, everyone. This is not nonsense. Thought you had some valuable conclusions, Miss Junsha. Here are the pictures taken at that time. Hongshu immediately brought over his video recorder. Huh. There is still a picture? By the way, just call me Police Officer Yumi. Miss Junsha. No, Officer Yumi introduced herself. Yumi. Amu was taken aback. When he heard this, shouldn't you be a traffic policeman? Immediately, Eminem himself shook his head. He should almost get used to this level of messing in. At this time, Yumi rolled her eyes, walked over to Eminem and emphasized, Officer Yumi didn't ask you to call Yumi directly, officer. Eminem added hastily, Yumi didn't talk too much nonsense, and immediately went to watch Hiroki's video, so. It was a ghost trainer with a death coffin who attacked the victim, and then took him to the forest, and left him in the mountain stream. After watching the video, and listening to everyone's statements, Yumi came to a conclusion. Point after all, Yumi is Junsha, and she will not think that the wild death coffin will turn people into mummies, and control them like ordinary people. Point on the contrary, the bandage on his body is probably the cross-dressing effect of the Reaper's coffin. After all, the Reaper's coffin attacked Yuan-Zi before. Point. If you are the trainer of Death's coffin, you can immediately turn yourself into a bandage-covered appearance by using Death's coffin. Point. Conan looked at Amu frequently, hoping that Amu would remind the police officer Yumi, but found that Amu kept looking at the illustration book and ignored him at all, so he had to go on stage by himself. It's so strange. Did the mummy leave something at the door? Why did he go back to the front door to be photographed by brother Hiroki when he left from the back window? Yumi also showed some suspicion when she heard the words. She glanced at Hiroki and the others, and then said, follow the procedure first. Let me check the Pokémon first. It's okay, but how could it be us? Sheng said with some emotion. At this time, Yumi carefully checked the Pokémon of Hiroki, Ryoichi, and Ashen. The so-called check is to use the power of Junsha to ask. Point. The power of Junsha is essentially a communication ability. Point. If you do something bad, because of the order of the trainer, under the guidance of the power of Junsha, the Pokémon is likely to say it. Even the Pokémon in the crime may be punished. The power of Junsha stopped it. Point. The reason why Ayako was not checked was not because she was also favoritism, but because she had already communicated with Gala Gala before. Point. Then, just in case, Yumi checked the Pokémon of other people who had nothing to do with it. Hey, where's the Pokémon in your Pokéball? Yumi said, looking at Eminem. She found the Pokéball of Naughty Thunder. Oh. Boom. Come down. Eminem shouted upstairs at this time. Point. The others also looked over suspiciously at this time. They didn't know that Eminem had left a Pokémon upstairs before. This is Naughty Thunderbolt. How does it look like? It's the Naughty Thunderbolt of ancient times. This is really rare. Hiroki quickly retrieved the video camera and started shooting. Point. Eminem explained, after the garden was attacked before, I asked Boom to watch if there was any movement upstairs in my room, and it doesn't matter anymore. I think I already know what's going on, son. Do you know where the trainer who uses the death coffin is? Yumi looked at Eminem in surprise. No. To be precise, it's not the death coffin, Eminem said as he turned over the screen of the illustrated book and showed it to everyone. It should be a ditto. Yumi looked at Eminem suspiciously. Point. Conan was also taken aback for a moment, and then he also had an expression of so that's the case. Quietly took 2 steps back, relying on his small size. He ran up to the second floor while everyone was not paying attention. Actually, when I confronted the death coffin that attacked Yuan-Zi and the others, I felt a little inconsistent. It's just because the death coffin is too rare in Guan. Respond. Eminem narrated calmly. What did you find? Don't be a fool. Yumi asked anxiously. This is the description of death's coffin, with red eyes shining. I don't think this is an exaggerated rhetoric. Eminem flicked the screen of the illustrated book and cut to the page of death's coffin. I saw the description above and at the same time showed the image. Could it be that Yumi still has a little bit of vigilance? After all, Eminem mentioned ditto before, and now he mentioned the eyes of the death coffin. That's right, although it was very dark in the mountains and forests at that time, and the details were hard to see clearly, but now that I think about it, at least I can be sure that there was no red light in the eyes of the death coffin at that time. Armu was very sure. Said Ditto can transform into other Pokémon with its unique transformation skill, and besides physical strength, the race values of other aspects will also become the race values of the transformed Pokémon. Different from the game, the ability of this real world divers is more similar to the effect in the animation. It can not only transform into the Pokémon in front of it, but can transform into Pokémon that has learned its transformation. Dream point in terms of effects, there are good and bad. The advantage is that you can not only become the same Pokémon as your opponent, but the disadvantage, or the limitation is, that you have to learn by yourself what kind of Pokémon you want to transform into. Exercise is not something you can change just by looking at it. So far, there has never been a Dittamon transformed into a mythical beast, and generally speaking, the attributes and number of Pokémon that can be transformed are also limited. However, although death coffins are rare, it is not surprising that divers can change. Ditto looks the same as a transformed Pokémon after transformation. The only difference is the eyes, no matter what it turns into. Ditto's eyes are the same pair of bean eyes. In addition to transforming into Pokémon, divers can also transform into humans, but it also requires prior familiarization. Also the same, eyes don't change. Chapter 50, Restoration of the Truth. About the eyes. In other words, the weird person we saw yesterday may also be a Ditto. Xiaolan said immediately. The weirdo she and Conan saw was also wearing a scarf, hat, and sunglasses. Yumi immediately took the camera again, frowning after replaying it again. Wait, this person didn't cover his eyes. Although he is wearing a bandage, he can still see some eyes. It's true that the eyes of the person who kidnapped Chikako were not clear, but they were definitely not beans. Well, because that is indeed a human being, it's just that the Dittamon turned into a death coffin, and I quickly disguised myself. Eminem said as a matter of course. What? About the Ditto? Yumi thought about it, but it was still separated by a layer, and with her temper, since she found that Armu knew the answer, she would not think about it seriously, and would only rush to let Armu say it. Of course, as I said before, in order to make the murderer walk around the door valid, he changed into a certain person and stayed in the house. Armu suddenly felt that the reasoning was quite simple and as soon as this feeling of you can't think of it, but I figured it out appeared, Eminem also naturally took on the look of new style. Could it be that the person who attacked me was also? Sonoko looked at the three of Hiroki in surprise, but she was too flustered at the time to judge the other's figure. Well, I think it should be what you saw when you went to the wrong room before. Eminem guessed. I didn't see anything special either. Sonoko recalled, but still didn't remember. Wait, none of us blocked our eyes at that time. If it was Ditto, we would definitely. Hiroki was about to refute, but suddenly remembered something. After a while of silence, everyone turned their attention to Ryoichi. That's right. Think about it carefully. Mr. Ryoichi didn't show his face at that time, right? First, on the second floor, he exclaimed that he saw someone downstairs, leading us to see the figure of a mummy flashing behind the window, and even though I chased after him directly and didn't see it, I heard Zyraksha talk about it. You also quickly chased after him, and you didn't go through the main entrance, but rushed out from the outer stairs directly leading to the corridor on the second floor, right? In other words, when this incident happened, from the beginning to the end, no one saw your face. Had already asked Zyraksha about other people's reactions at that time, but, at that time, I didn't know how to say the words of divers. Ryoichi still wanted to struggle for a while. But at this moment, just listening to, who's there, it was Ryoichi's voice that came from the second floor. Exactly the same words as back then. It is obviously some kind of recording equipment, which is playing Ryoichi's voice. That is to say, the voice everyone heard at that time came from this, and what they saw later was the Ditto who turned into Ryoichi. How is it possible? Obviously. Ryoichi's expression changed drastically, and when he was about to explain something, he realized that he had missed something. What are you doing? Yumi stood in front of Ryoichi point at the same time. Her wind speed dog and black luger appeared on the left and right. Note 1. Eminem guessed what he was going to say was obviously destroyed or something point. But now there is a kid wearing a voice changing bow tie. Even if you can't find his playback device, you can scam him. Hey, don't make such jokes. I don't have divers at all. Right? Miss Junsha. Ryoichi's expression was a little ugly, but he still pretended to be calm. Point indeed. When Yumi used Junsha's power to communicate with the long-tailed monster hand, at least she could be sure that Ryoichi did not bring other Pokémon point but as Junsha. Although Yumi is in charge of a case for the first time, she has also heard similar situations from her elders. First of all, call me police officer Yumi, and secondly, if you use the wild Ditto that you have a good relationship with, you can do this. Yumi said confidently, obviously believing 80%. Where's the evidence? What evidence do you have that I did it? Ryoichi's fear has turned into anger like all desperate prisoners, began to question the evidence loudly. Yumi sneered when she heard this, and then turned to look at Eminem. After the two stared at each other for a while. Eminem said helplessly, I think there should be some, right? Yuanzi was also attacked. That is to say, she should have seen something in your room. Could it be Bay becoming a monster? No, if it's a variety monster, I won't lose my impression. It should be only indirect. Oh, by the way, it couldn't be two identical clothes, right? Using the death coffin transformed by the Ditto, you can quickly cover your whole body with bandages, but when the Ditto turns into you, you cannot wrap yourself in bandages. So the strange person that Xiaolan saw at the beginning was not the whole body bandage. On the other hand, when holding Chikako hostage, you should have put on bandages all over your body first, and then quickly transformed the Ditto into your appearance, so you didn't have time to change your clothes. Ditto can change clothes, but it needs to get used to in advance, and that Ditto wears at least 2 clothes, so it should be a change of clothes. Even if I brought 2 identical clothes, it doesn't mean it's not against the law to bring 2 sets of clothes, but you should understand that if you can extract the skin flakes left by the variety monster on one of the clothes, it will be an ironclad proof. Yumi reminded from the side point when Ditto changes its shape, it is especially easy to shed the remaining cell tissue, which is the so-called Dunda point. Hearing this, Ryoichi finally put on an OTR pose. It's all Chikako's fault. At the beginning, she stole Atsuko's The Bay of the Blue Crocodile for publication. That's why Atsuko couldn't think about it. Ryoichi said and slammed the ground hard. Hey, you guys, don't talk about yourself as a righteous companion. If you just do something to plagiarize screenwriters, I'm not a detective or Junsha, and I won't take a second look. But, you still did you attack Yuanzi? You're just a murderer. Don't put gold on your face. At this moment, Amu took 2 steps forward and said, looking down. Note 1. It was mentioned in the episode of the boy detectives taking care of the little milk cat that Yumi is allergic to cats, but she has 2 dogs at home, named Star and Harjin. Here her wind speed dog and Haluga will continue to use these 2 names. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.